Anime moms, anime dads, has your anime kid been experimenting with lo-fi beats to study to? It's more common than you'd think. Anyway, we're playing Symbiotic Fursuit.
Yep.
Oh, this looks like so much fun.
Yeah. Is it cyberpunk, though?
I don't think it's cyberpunk.
Okay.
But if it's not, it's also not like super arrow, so if you're looking for that, not the right time. Alright, you ready for this?
Yeah.
I think you get to be the they.
Okay. I probably look real scary, huh?
They said, body hanging loose like a puppet that had 3 strings to hold it up instead of 4, and not bothering to compensate for the lost one. I'm not sure if scary is the word I'd use, I answered, still feeling the tension rise up in the rough points of the throat, sticking out like thin, hard steel sticks underneath my skin.
Heh. Well, maybe unnerving then?
I nodded, giving a bit of my head an exhale, giving a tilt of my head, and an exhale that came out like swallowing a pill in reverse. Yeah, definitely unnerving. I could never afford a fursuit, you know. Not that it's unusual. Most people can't afford fursuits. There aren't a hell of a lot of people who want a fursuit, and inside that tiny population is even less people who will ever have the money to put it together, save for the kind of assholes who tried scamming out of people and leave them with a challenge to their PayPal account as a kind of blackmail to let them get away with it. I didn't work any of the usual kind of jobs that ended up with the disposable income to throw out a personal suit of fur and padding to live in for a short while as one's persona. I could afford furry conventions, the hotels, the airplane tickets, the food, if I saved. More and more that was the standard. Less money to be had, everything else more expensive. Weird how the fandom got bigger. To be able to be part of some of it seemed like it got smaller. Or that's what the Grey Muzzle told me once. That guy had been hanging in the fandom since room parties in the 80s.
Nice.
That's some
vintage fur.
Vintage fur. I was only 23 years old. I wasn't sure if I could relate, but I felt like I could understand at least. At the very least, I felt the squeeze of money on me, and I didn't know anybody who didn't. Paychecks, debt, food, rent, college debt, food, rent, medical bills, whatever. It wasn't universal, but everyone I knew, at least, felt the squeeze of money on the throat. We got our pleasures where we could. Occasional commission, the occasional convention like I was for this weekend. I've been looking forward to it the entire year. Hell, before the year had started. Been looking forward to it since exactly 2 weeks after last convention, when I had fully recovered from the exhaustion of that convention. It was my getaway. It was my way to meet up with people that I spent so much of the rest of the year exclusively talking to, fucking with online. That was the way it always seemed to go for types like me. It's not that I didn't have friends, it's that none of them lived anywhere near me. Once you're done with school and there's no place you and everyone else in one tightly packed slice of the world have to go to most of every day of the week, actually getting out to meet new people took a significantly higher amount of effort. Even more so when you had to work 5 to 6 days out of the week to drain your energy just to keep paying the bills. I feel that. Going out, having hobbies, meeting people locally was harder and harder, as if it wasn't already hard enough when you had depression breathing down your neck, with meds or not. Oh, this is too relatable.
I didn't realize this was the sad games portion of our channel.
It's a Twine game, honey. Remember, we came up with this. All Twine games are either about depression, queerness, or both.
Yes.
There we go. Part of the problem was that there wasn't exactly shit to do where I lived either. How are you supposed to meet people when there's nothing for the people where you are to do? Net was a blessing in that it kept me from being totally isolated. But at times it made the sparks of that isolation that I do feel when I clock out from work turn a blue kind of intense, like flames sparkling on a stovetop to reheat leftover cuts of meat. Makes the body feel alive, but lazily so. Conscious, cognizant, but with the energy of someone who's always tired and can't sleep. I got off track again. I do that. The fursuit, then. I could never afford one. I was pretty okay with that most of the time, but sometimes, you imagine the dumb bullshit you'd buy if money was no cost, or if that thing just existed, popping out of thin air for one's own pleasure. Yeah, I think about that a lot.
What would you buy?
Titties. No, really. If money wasn't an object, I'd get top surgery and I'd feel really great about myself.
So that's the big dream buy.
Yeah, exactly. My big dream buy used to be a whole lot of BDSM equipment.
But now it's the
No
right click. No right.
No,
click.
I can't right click. I forgot. But no, now the dream is titties. How about you? What's your dream?
Enough time off work to recover from my injury.
Oh.
But actually,
Too real. All right.
Anyway.
I thought about that sometimes. And I wonder how it'd feel to get to have one of my own, to walk around in that fully wrapped costume. I've gotten to wear other people's parcels a few times, and I've felt a sense of relaxation and comfort in them I never had before. I wonder if that's similar to like the BDSM feel that some people call or like when you're in character, like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And just suddenly everything feels like, oh, this feels natural and relaxing.
I don't know.
Not to a degree of intensity, but to a matter of uniqueness. It was a different kind of relaxation, different than the kinds I would feel from a massage, from lazing in the sun on a summer day, from weed or a big meal or anything. This was something different. This was the kind of relax that swallowed up my body whole and sloughed off all the years, months, days, hours, and minutes of dead weight. Something more intense than any sugar scrub, but it did without any kick of caffeine. It was like I was disappearing pleasantly into some warm void, and then instantly reshaped, reformed, freshly reborn, remade. Like the fucking teleporter on Star Trek, but with something extra on top of it, around me, something that took it from a terrifying existential crisis to this beautiful thing of reinvention. Don't you start. We've done that on a bunch. Dang it. We've had that conversation on a bunch of episodes now. No.
Which one is on the right?
My middle finger's on the right, but I can't not have it there. Now, the fursuit in front of me, it was not my fursona. My fursona was a tiger. Plain old tiger. Perhaps a little average, but I got attached to it when I was 14, 15, and I sure as hell wasn't going to give it up after all those years. This fursuit, leaning to the side and rocking back and forth, off balance but not caring at all about the way it looked, this was a lizard. Couldn't tell exactly what type. Komodo dragon, maybe? Other than a chameleon, at least. Those kinds of eyes were instantly recognizable. It was a big motherfucker, too. Big as in, like, a body could climb inside of it, like an anime robot. Nice. Like some people might need a step stool to get into the damn thing. In one corner of my mind, there was a laughing thought going off, thinking about how funny it was to have a fursuit for something with no damn fur. Somewhere in the corner of my mind sparked off a thought that, at least, the suit wasn't a Doberman or a German Shepherd. Cop furries loved having those fursonas. Other thing about this big goddamn lizard fursuit in front of me was that there was nobody inside of it. The way the chest was deflated, as were the other legs and arms, it was obviously empty. Living, talking, but empty. Unnerving was the right word.
Well, better unnerving than scary.
The suit said, gesturing its dangling arms and jostling shoulders up in the general direction of a shrug.
I mean, who wants to look like the devil when cutting a deal? Those stories where the devil just shows up and goes, "Hey, I'm the devil. Cut me a deal. I'm totally on the level." I never really got that.
His voice was casual, but it felt filtered, like it'd been run through a few old CRT TVs or scratchy radios before producing actual sound. You're not really making a good case for yourself here talking about shit like that.
Huh, I'm really not, am I? But I'm offering a deal, all the same.
It's a kind of creepy deal.
Well, sorry, but this is about as uncreepy as I get, being what I am and what I need to survive. Mosquitoes gotta drink blood to keep going. I need juice of my own to keep lasting. Difference is, mosquitoes don't can't ask. They just slurp it up and keep going.
The fuzzed lizard suit shifted side to side on its empty heels. Arms dropped back down, drooping an exhausted expression.
And it's not like I'm asking for a permanent connection or whatever. I hitch a ride with you for the rest of this trip of yours. I get enough juice to last another year. You get your own personal specialized suit for this convention.
I wasn't sure if I was relaxed or unnerved by how blasé the suit was when it talked about this offer. Faustian bargains felt like they should be tense and suffocating, and the way they talked didn't give that feeling at all, which made me simultaneously less suspicious and extra suspicious that this was some Twilight Zone bullshit that was about to get pulled on me. The Twilight Zone episode about fursonas.
But actually...
Hey, Black Mirror, make this happen.
Look, I can't and won't make you do anything you don't wanna. If you want to kick back in your hotel room for the whole damn ride while I hang out, that's fine with me. I mean, it's fucking boring. I like having fun at these things too, you know. But I'm the one asking for the favor. And I'm the one who needs the favor. So the terms are up to you, really.
My tongue rolled over the front of my lower teeth and curled up to the edge of my lips. Couldn't stop looking at them, and I couldn't stop wondering why I wasn't all that put off by the fact that there was this impossible thing before me. A sentient, talking fursuit offering a temporary bond with me. These were the kind of things people made up for porn comics. Porn comics that I personally read, which made me wonder if I was just having some kind of horny daydream. My tongue pulled back into my mouth, then I bit on my lip, blinking my eyes in a rapid flutter that ended with a throat-clearing exhale. "You've done this before?" I asked.
Shit, yeah, I've done this before.
The suit replied, its body immediately becoming more lively, the eyes and mouth especially. That muzzle opened up and even pulled back into a smile that I hadn't seen there before.
Look, I know I'm not anything really identifiable or known by people, but fucking hell, I like having fun too, you know? These things are fun. People have fun. I get to do things, taste things, feel things. I get to hang out. I get to have a good time.
The suit pressed, its hands gesticulating to emphasize what it clearly felt was the obvious. Of course it liked having fun. Fun things are fun after all, and who dislikes fun? Have you tried being depressed?
Fairy voice. Will it be fun?
Stop.
This is mutually beneficial shit. But thing is, there's really no way to offer that shit without it being fucking weird, is there?
My neck popped as I rolled it the other way, feeling a shift of the wind briefly blow past the twists and curls of my hair, bumping it enough to add another shot of self-consciousness to this whole affair happening in a hotel stairway. You really can't do shit if I don't wanna. The suit's head nodded, harder than necessary to compensate for its lack of a body inside.
I pull energy in, man. I don't control it. I can tell you I want to go to Burger King, but I can't make you go to Burger King.
Why would you even want to go to Burger King?
Shit, it's just an example, man. If we're talking fast food, I like chicken way more.
You know this is the weirdest goddamn thing that's ever happened to me, right?
Duh, I'm about the weirdest thing that happens to most anybody. My existence is fucking weird. No point in pretending it's not.
Then there was a motion from the suit I actually found strange. Just like I had before, it exhaled, feeling frustrated. I wasn't even sure if the thing needed to breathe, but it was doing it anyway. The shine that rolled over its plastic-looking eyes, the downward shift in the fur of its mouth, told a silent story of how it was more than a little tired of this conversation, of having conversations more or less exactly like this one over and over. It wanted the thrill, it wanted the relaxation, it wanted the experience, and it was tired of all the hurry up and wait that came beforehand. Same kind of exasperation and impatience I could feel in the inching days before a con. Hell, the hours I had while I was on the plane, the minutes spent before getting to pick up my badge.
Offer remains the same. I can be your suit if you'll let me bond with you for the rest of the con.
Can I back out in the middle of it?
Would prefer you didn't, but yeah, you can. Any other reassurances you need?
Do you have to be a lizard?
What would you prefer?
You're a lizard, Harry. Tiger. Suit rolled their neck, then their shoulders, then somehow their knees and ankles too. Their whole body went and curved in on itself like a black hole bending light and gravity, swallowing up in a voracious beast. The suit ate itself up in a front flip motion, then reinvented itself as it came back out. Gone was the Komodo dragon, or whatever it was. In its place, with all the same proportions, was that familiar orange, white, and stripes of black.
Cool, this isn't creepy anymore. Fine with it.
Yeah!
I know how important this kind of stuff is to y'all.
The suit said. Also, y'all is a great word. I said nothing, getting to witness the transformation slam me in the gut. The baseball bat swing to the core of my feelings, unlocking a sweet and sour electric buzz of emotions, dopamine and serotonin buzzing with delighted, excited surprise. A breathlessness as possibility flooded my brain. Possibilities that I couldn't even understand or articulate myself beyond a feeling of good and me. I said nothing because I couldn't say anything because nothing needed to be said. The suit was serious on understanding those feelings that were coming off of me so strongly that they felt like heat fumes. Like if I blinked, I could see them myself. Dragon Ball Z power level aura shit.
So, lucky for all of y'all, I can change shape and shit.
You can do all that, but you need us.
Mosquito shit without the blood, man. I feel like we're going in circles.
Those big plastic eyes of theirs rolled.
I can do some shit that you'd consider impossible, but my body still has its own rules it needs to follow to stay alive. I'm like a car that needs a jumper cable jolt from another car at least once a year. So, you in?
I blinked, tilting my head back to look up at them. Really look at them. This person, this alien creature that talked like anybody else, offered me this thing, temporarily, that I could never afford. so long as I let them piggyback me for long enough to soak up the electricity from my sweat or whatever the hell the thing had to do to stay alive. Hell yeah!
We're in.
I'm jacked in?
Zipped in.
I'm zipped in.
Yes.
I'm zipped in. The suit smiled again.
Great. Then time for me to live up to my side of the bargain.
They turned their back on me, hunching forward, bending towards the hard floor of the stairwell. The back reshaped itself before my eyes, assembling a zipper where there was never one before. Immediately unzipped itself, all the way to the middle of its own asshole, splitting the very base of its tail that wagged around gently in anticipation.
I'll shrink myself down around you once you get in, so no worries about standing out or having to walk around in a huge-ass suit the whole damn time.
This feels surreal, I said as I slowly approached the suit, feeling a mix of apprehension and delight, with an unpredicted sense of guilt to go with it, come around on the edges of my fingertips and then worm into a cage between my ribs.
Yeah, just about everybody says something like that,
The suit replied, not worrying one bit about the whole thing. I was serious about having done this before.
I told you, there's really no way to make this not weird. Might as well rip the band-aid off and get straight to it, right?
I guess, was my non-committal answer, as I finally took on the real commitment of putting myself into this other living being, and sharing my body with them for the next 72 hours, give or take. My arms slotted into theirs, my feet, legs filled up theirs, my head pressed inside the empty space of their own. I felt the air run up both of our backs from behind us, and then I felt both of us breathe, together in unison, oxygen rolling down both our throats, our shared throat. That feeling from wearing other suit pieces came up on me again, a cresting wave that grew ever larger, a tsunami that rose up without any consideration for the rules of physics and tides, shooting to a scale of enormity that left the throat devoid of air and the eyes unable to focus on anything at all, for want of the absorbing height all at once being impossible. Then it crashed down and swallowed me whole, bringing me out into this ocean of sensations. It prickled at my lips, sucked on my tongue, brushed over my skin with a soft, fuzzy texture that was perfectly balanced in temperature, achieving something no fursuit without a cooling system it could. The texture was familiar but alien in its capabilities, able to not just switch up the shape of its body, but the thickness of itself, the texture of each individual part of itself. It could have just as easily been ice-cold black liquid latex that sucked tight around my thighs and shined in the sun, keeping me chilled like an otter pop, even in the middle of hottest day in July. To come into the suit felt like ribbons that wrapped around my arms, then phased into them, tapping the blood veins to get into the heart, and going just from the heart to the brain, achieving an instantaneous connection. Pause and a jaw that could respond to the pulse of my mind as well as just my own body could. There was a newness to it that made it feel even more alive than when I felt myself, palms rubbing against each other. The novelty of pressing the suit's hands together and having the touch reverberate all the way through me. Hands that were and were not my own, giving a phantom grip on each other with no disorienting aftertaste. I rolled my head around, and the suit head, of course, rolled with me. No limitations of a real suit. This thing may have the look of a standard fursuit with an adorable bit of bulk and padding to it, but it could shrink and stretch to match my own musculature and to the most minuscule level, on the inside and out. I knew I could rearrange the stripes on the costume without even so much as the flex of my hands. It was like becoming aware of yourself for the first time all over again. Or, it was like when you paid too much attention to your hands when you got high, only achieved with uppers instead of downers. Light uppers, enough to keep you aware, but not to set your heartbeat on overdrive. I never had any of those experiences with pot. I think the worst I got was I wanted a lot of McNuggets.
The worst I got was definitely with my old band when at one point it got to the point where disharmony and harmony just sounded equal to me.
Oh, good.
Musically speaking. And it was like, this would be really sweet for some sort of avant-garde thing, but probably not for folk music.
No, probably not. Man, your band always felt seems to me like a folk band that didn't really want to play folk music.
That is exactly what it was. What happens when you get a trio of folk musicians together that don't want to play any folk music if they can help it?
I inhaled air through my nostrils. I could feel the dual breezes coming in, one for my own and one for the suit's synthetic-looking snout. A twin roll of air that trickled at my senses punched me in the throat the best way possible. I thought about moving my tail, and so it moved. I could feel it twitching from just above my ass. I giggled to myself and did it again and again and again. It soothed and excited me. I felt like I was piloting myself. I was inhabiting myself. I was in myself, inside of myself, each part going over each other like folded steel, making myself stronger each time. I squeezed my hands and the paw squeezed again. I rubbed my chest, my neck, my faces, my pussy, and my crack. What? What are we doing?
I don't think this is that song.
Oh, okay. I felt utterly centered and several miles in the sky at the same time. Yeah, that's definitely like... I think the closest thing I've ever felt to that was definitely like good subspace feeling. Where you're like, okay, everything is exactly perfect right now.
Huh.
And like both somehow super elated and more calm than you've ever been in your entire life.
That sounds nice.
It really was, and it also explains why I used violent sex as a way to deal with anxiety for several years.
I suppose it does.
Yes. Moving briskly along. All calibrated, the suit spoke to me straight into my mind, feeling like a ventriloquist pulling a trick on me. Oh, wait, no, that was you. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I took your line.
Regardless.
I'm so sorry.
All calibrated?
Nice.
There we go. Continue.
Yeah, I guess so. This is... Wow.
Yeah, well...
The suit said, and I could feel them smiling, like a third body involved. Even though their body was really just a second body, formed and shaped around my own. Like, there was two of themselves that made one, just as it felt for me in that moment.
Even if you end up getting a suit of your own someday, you'll never have anything quite like me. Perfect connections, perfect temperature, perfect texture, can reshape on demand without emptying out your wallet.
Am I imagining this? I asked as I turned my paws upwards. I could see them with perfect clarity, something also impossible with a regular suit. Its eyes were my eyes, and vice versa.
Hell if I know. If you're imagining this, so am I. I'm not interested in the whole if you're a butterfly dreaming you're a man thing. Shit gives me a headache. I just...
The suit sighed, almost moaned, and I could feel it drawing across my spine like sweat moving in reverse. Little flecks of electricity across me absorbed back into itself.
That already feels better. Thanks.
No prob, I guess.
Now, come on. You gonna go dig into that convention or not?
Yeah, fuck yeah. Hell yeah. Alright, am I gonna do Kyle voice?
I'll do Kyle.
Okay.
Since when do you have a suit?
Kyle, Arctic Fox, asked, swallowing down a fat chunk of his bagel, egg, tomato, bacon, and cheese, while a deft freehand added another creamer to his coffee on top of the other 2 creamers and 5 sugars. Kyle, you monster.
Sugar?
Save that coffee. Save that coffee from its poor fate.
Save the coffee, take out the sugar, leave the cream.
No.
Yes.
I don't, I answered, and the suit... I felt the suit snicker to itself in your head. Quite amused with itself as I sat at the breakfast table, head off and down by your feet. I was kind of amazed that the suit was able to separate itself like that. I tried to ask how it did that, but they told me they didn't know themselves. I wasn't sure if they were telling the truth, and I wasn't sure if that being the truth or a lie was more discomforting. So I did my best not to think about it. It's a loner, I said, taking on my own bagel sandwich, biting in, chewing, swallowing, feeling, and somehow a second tongue tasting what I did. No, a second brain, really, like someone being CC'd on the messages being passed from my taste buds.
It's a hell of a fucking loner.
Are you Hyun Woo as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you're Hyun. Okay, so you're Hyun Woo and I'm Kyle. Hyun Woo, bad, quickly added to the conversation, his own breakfast being a messy stack of pancakes and an untouched black coffee. Yeah, you go.
Who the hell did it?
Can't tell you. That's one of the rules. Kyle snorted.
What? They made you sign an NDA for wearing a fursuit? Why?
Yeah, pretty much, I said, casually lying about the whole thing. It's not like the truth was anything that anyone would believe, and I didn't want to make up a whole bunch of other lies on top of another lie just to avoid the fact that the person who made this suit didn't exist, couldn't exist, would never exist. Hell, I don't even know who made it. They had a fucking contact? Friend of theirs? Whatever. Yet someone else passed the suit on to me, and I don't know who the fuck that guy was either. I took another bite, and I could feel the suit groan in satisfaction from the taste. No idea if it needed to eat, but it seemed to like eating. Like amethyst.
Yup. Feels weird.
It feels weird. I was already kind of curious how to react if I did end up at a fast food chicken place, if it really meant that I liked that shit so much. As much as I liked getting to have a suit around me for a while, it liked sharing wherever I got to feel too.
That's fucking weird, dude.
Said Hyun Woo, who took an enormous sip from his coffee. Would have been better classified as a chug, but that would have required him doing it faster. Kyle filled in the space of conversation that Hyun Woo abandoned for his coffee.
Really fucking weird. Guess they wanted someone to model the suit? Stress test it?
Beats me, I said, brightening up and really feeling it. I'm really feeling it!
This is the Monato's power.
Shulk slips into a nice, large fursuit. Actually, having a real breakfast for the first time in weeks was just as much a part of it as anything else. It's the suit. That's getting to see my friends in person for the first time in a year. I'm just enjoying wearing it.
Lucky, dude.
No.
Lucky!
Said Kyle with a rolling downbeat tone, now taking his turn to suck back his coffee. Hyunwoo nodded.
Real lucky. I'm never gonna afford that shit from work. And sure as shit not from Bandcamp sales.
I smiled and shrugged. Neither am I, man, and we're all broke as a joke. The three of us nodded together.
To being totally fucking broke.
Kyle proposed, lifting his cup to the center of the table. To
being totally fucking broke,
we all said together, Hyunwoo and me joining in on the impromptu toast, then sipping back more of the coffee. Hyunwoo grunted, putting elbows on the table, chin in his hands, leaning forward.
We should have had a mimosa for that.
Gave him a look, surprised, but not enough to matter. You want a day drink already?
Mimosas are made for day drinking without being called day drinking.
Hyunwoo said.
They really are.
Kyle agreed, nodding.
Hey.
The suit spoke to me
Hey,
in my mind.
Listen.
Oh, shut the hell up.
No, I won't.
What? I asked with my mind and not my mouth, which was occupied with getting more of the food into my gullet. Hyunwoo and Kyle turned the conversation to each other, knocking around about old memories and reality TV cooking shows.
How long you know these guys?
God, since just about the end of high school? It feels like a lifetime at this point.
That's good.
Why are you wondering anyway?
They didn't talk about me for very long.
Internally, I rolled my eyes. Externally, my eyes lazily watched Kyle thumb through a YouTube search trying to find this chopped clip he was talking about. Feeling of having two sets of myself moving at the same time, together yet disconnected, still went on even without the head on top of my head. So, this, but a mecha series? Mecha fursuits?
But actually, hell yeah.
Mecha, I want it.
This probably exists.
Make it, I want this. Mecha Oh. Like Pacific Rim, but instead of big Gundams, they're all just big furries.
Just big, cute personas fighting kaiju. Hell yeah.
I love it.
Hell yeah.
Nice. It was convenient. It was surprisingly easy to do, but if I thought about it too much, I feel kind of a self-consciousness come around me that would reflect itself to pick up intensity, the ball in a long game of Pong. So my internal-external eyes blinked together, and I returned to my private conversation with the suit. What, you nervous about being discovered or something?
Huh, no. And if they did discover me, what? Call the government? I'm sure top heads of the United States are going to listen to a bunch of furries who said they saw a living suit walk and talk. File it right next to Bigfoot.
So, why are you asking?
A. I like to make conversation too, you know. And B. That's just a good thing, man. For you. If they were harping on and on about me, I'd worry about you.
That made my internal eyes screw up, the brow furrow and the teeth clench. Why?
People who care too damn much about a suit aren't really giving a shit about you, speaking from experience.
Oh, siznap. My external throat swallowed another piece of sandwich. How my external mouth managed to join in right on the conversation with Kyle and Hyunwoo, laughing along with them. My internal one, my throat within the throat, got caught like a plastic toy, a ball with smooth but firm spikes and got accidentally swallowed, but couldn't go any further down. Sue caught me rough with that. Both my throats swallowed, one having to struggle more than the other. Shit. Yeah, well, they aren't really those kind of people.
Haven't gotten to meet much of those kind of people?
Those are the only kind of people you get to meet if you've got that kind of money to throw around in the first place, I said, words coming out faster than I wanted, but something in the conversation made me tense. Tense and angry, but I didn't know angry at who. Mild kind of anger, one that you could barely notice, that skimmed over the skin like air or underneath it, rolling around unseen with the red blood cells. Not enough to get worked up about, but enough to twist a mood like a bent back thumb. I just wish I knew what I was feeling anger at. Who? To have that come out in me without any real target for me made me feel disconnected from myself. And I didn't have the money to throw around, so I haven't gotten to meet those people. Not up close anyway. Not people I personally know.
But you know of them.
Yeah, I know of them.
Sorry to rile.
The suit said. Relax, and so did I.
Just shit I think about since doing this for a while. Enjoy the breakfast.
Damn right. We went out for breakfast today.
It was good.
It was amazing. I had forgotten how incredible diner breakfasts are. Yes, it was the afternoon. I don't care. Fight me.
I want second breakfast.
Oh my god. We should do that more often because that was we went on a great little queer date.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. I personally have trouble getting out of the house a lot, so.
Mm-hmm.
And
me too.
Plus, getting our schedules to line up is heinous. So.
Yup.
Having those moments where we get to go out and do stuff together are really nice and sweet.
It is.
Do you want to be my fursuit?
Okay. You can climb on inside of me.
All right, BRB, climbing inside. Suit went quiet, and when it did, my inner and external self felt like they rolled up into each other instantly. Comfortably, like I had just finished taking a phone call with myself, and now my attention could return to the rest of myself. Shit, motherfucker! Hyun-woo and Kyle were singing together in a low voice, recalling fond memories of a con past when they were deep in and up on shitty plastic bottle vodka to have made asses of themselves in the best possible way. Felt my lips pull back as the smile came on my face, and I joined in with them. After the breakfast, I barely noticed I even had the suit on, though I had to make sure I didn't make the tail wag without thinking.
So, what you want to do next?
The suit asked once the breakfast finished off, and Kyle and Hyun-woo went on to their own things for a while.
I know that pretty much jack shit is happening in the morning for these cons, especially on day one.
You really have done this for a while, haven't you?
Enough to get the rhythm for these kinds of things. Mornings are for whatever. Sometimes a whole lot of nothing. Like keeping in the hotel room till 1 in the afternoon watching anime or whatever.
Yeah.
Though most who try me on go really fucking wild day 1, minute 1. I mean, I guess I can't blame them. This whole thing I'm offering is this big rare trip they get to have.
Well, we'll see how I feel a little later on.
Maybe you're just a late riser.
I was up at the 6 in the morning today.
Metaphorically.
6 in the morning?
What the fuck? That's not a real time.
I even when I go to cons, I don't get up at 6. You kidding me? When would I get up? 8, maybe.
That's not a real time.
That's not a real... 6 is I have to work. I laughed and the suit laughed too, even though there wasn't any real joke to laugh at, which felt damn good. I always felt like I wasn't getting enough of that in the day-to-day, and I didn't know how much of that was due to brain garbage and how much of that was due to the opportunities of being awfully rare to laugh with others at all. But thought on it, I could see that when I was alone, I laughed a hell of a lot less, even when something was screamingly funny. I'd smile, smirk really, and I'd give a chuckle. And what a dead, almost condescending word chuckle felt like if I thought about it for too much. But laughter, no matter how much it was honest and appropriate, felt like it just wouldn't come out of my throat. My lungs wouldn't provide the oxygen for it. That I needed socialization to justify laughing, really laughing. Kind of like going to the movies alone. It's just not a thing that ever really occurred to me to do.
But, for real, what you gonna do? Personally, I like going for walks or runs, or really anything that gets the body moving. But that decision's up to you, Chief.
I was gonna head on over to the game room and maybe fart around for an hour or two.
Huh, when there's hardly anybody there?
That's the best time to go, I said, the suit's legs moving perfectly in time with the swing of my own, giving the perfect relieving touch of impact every time the paws on the bottom touched the tacky hotel carpeting through the hallways. Almost every station is available, no games have been checked out, no stress about everybody else being around.
You the kind of person who wants to spend more time with people but get anxious when you do?
That stopped me dead an exact 20 feet away from the propped green door to the game room. Are you fucking reading my mind?
Only in terms of what it takes to talk with you without opening my mouth, man.
How the fuck did you pull that out? I spat, a different kind of anger coming up on me now, located at the dead center of the spine, between two pieces of the vertebrae, sudden and white-hot, sized and shaped like a marble with the power of a solar flare.
I wish my emotions had that degree of specificity.
Right? Like, that'd be just an amazing, way, how do you describe your emotions? Oh, spatially.
This is probably why I don't write shit.
Yeah.
I felt good. I felt bad. That's about it.
Good.
Anyway.
You're lying.
What? Wait. Because I've been doing this a lot. Like I said.
The suit's tone was so casual that it disarmed me, and then frustrated me with how quickly it disarmed me.
I've seen lots of people of your type, man. Nothing to get worked up about.
Oh, shit, dude. You're making me nervous pulling cold reads out of that like that out of nowhere. Why are you asking anyway?
That read made every English teacher in
America proud. You pulled out the Smash memes. High five.
That's the second time I pulled out the Smash memes this episode. Thank you very much.
Okay, fine.
Because I'm making conversation. I like to get to know the people I'm hanging with for a while, because I can't, go out to these things myself without freaking everybody out. Yet, anyway, I've been working on it.
You saying you get lonely too or something?
Sure, not a lot of people out there who don't. I gotta ride this for what it's worth while I'm here. Same as you.
Well, yeah, I want to hang out with people, but hanging with people can make me tense. I want what I want, and I know what I want can stress me out.
Real motherfucker, isn't it?
Real motherfucker, I said, inside and out, as I dipped into the game room. Too real. Real motherfucker. The Genesis was what I found myself cruising towards automatically, having hung onto one from my older brother as a long-ass time, even when the PS1 was a big deal. There were always games thrown in for these conventions that, realistically, had no point to be there. Unless you were a speedrunner who had gotten these things down to a science of glitching through hours of grinding, having Phantasy Star 3 at a convention was a pointless affair. Same went for Beyond Oasis. But it's still the game I ended up picking out from the list, signing my name onto the papers attached to the aged clipboard and handing over my con badge as collateral to the barely awake man running the table. A more electric form of nostalgia hit me when my paw shunted the cartridge into the console. Maybe it was from the fact that I was touching it with a pair of hands that were my hands, yet not my hands. Maybe it was just a coincidence. Whatever the case, instead of having something warm and relaxing, sometimes insidiously so, creep up on me from feeling the click of the cart, the noise of the system activating, the blue grating of all the caps Sega logo, noises that went with it. Instead of something that felt like warm milk put me to sleep, it sparked on my lips like static electricity with artificial raspberry flavor tinting it, crackling and snapping from the lips to the tongue and back out again. It woke me up, and then I zoned out anyway. Oh, you ever play Genesis?
I think I've played... Were there Sonic games on that? I think I played old Sonic games on that.
Okay, cool. The daycare where I went to when I was really young had a Genesis.
My cousin had one.
Sweet. I never actually got to play it, though. We only got to watch, like, the older kid play through them.
Oh,
yeah, I know.
No.
And now I have all the Sonic games for my GameCube on this one collection disc, so up yours!
Hey.
The suit spoke to me with the force of a blunt nut. Shut the hell up! It felt like he'd been trying and failing to catch my attention several times before. Was my elaborate reply, thumb still smooth over the Genesis controller, my hands and head running on autopilot.
You haven't drank water in like an hour. Probably more. That coffee you had for breakfast doesn't count.
I suddenly, forcefully, became fully conscious of my surroundings. The game room still barely had anyone in it besides me, and certainly no one while playing in full suit. A couple of other con-goers killing time, just like me, waiting for things to actually happen. Sure, furry conventions still have plenty of panels one could go to, but they weren't exactly the main appeal for people showing up. Meeting people, re-meeting people, socializing was a huge part of the thing. However, you decided to kill time before the dances and room parties was a big, wide-open opportunity, which includes sitting in the game room, playing Beyond Oasis in a fursuit, such as I was right now.
That's why cons exist, for the social aspect. Oh. That explains why I find them boring and stressful. Okay.
They're not that bad, but yeah.
They're boring and stressful to me.
They can be. I find that at the end of it, it's like, okay, I had way too much too soon. Or way too much, and now I need to, like, sit in a dark room alone. I was actually thinking about having us go to a con again at some point. Not a furry con, but there's a game con that happens locally that I wanted to go back to.
Wait, is it the tabletop one?
Yeah.
That one sounds awesome.
That
one
I
am interested in.
When I think of cons, that's what I think of. And I spent my, like, high school years going to that con and some in college, and it's like...
But see, that's different, because it's...
How is it different?
It's different because you get to do tabletop games stuff.
So you're saying it's different because the subject matter is different?
Well, no, because of the stuff you do. It's like, for me, the difference between going to something like our local comics convention or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of people milling about and doing stuff. Versus, that's hella stressful for me, whereas being with the same people in the same venue might not be as stressful if I was, like, playing a tabletop game with those people.
Oh my, you're like me at parties. Find the games, immediately have a thing to do, and suddenly all the anxiety is, like, kind of on the edges.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And that's why the only social event I go to is Monday Night Magic.
Reacquiring that.
Anyway.
Reacquiring that full consciousness also made me remember I was wearing the suit in the first place, and that it wasn't actually my thumbs on the Black Genesis controller. Just my thumbs inside of another set of thumbs, which had shrunk themselves to the perfect size, so actually hitting the buttons wasn't a disaster of fucked up inputs.
I was actually going to bring that up, because trying to play Genesis with fursuit paws Sounds like a fucking nightmare.
That sounds like a great meme category. Super Mario Brothers 1, fursuit %.
But actually, I mean, people run Toho %.
Nice.
This is basically that.
Yeah.
Right?
I guess I haven't, I finally said. My tone's so bland about it that it might as well have been a rude dismissal.
You really should drink some damn water. I mean, thanks to me, you're not going to sweat to death just from suiting at all like the others might, but I'm not going to turn your pee into water like some astronaut or Waterworld shit.
So you've seen Waterworld?
I had a guy a couple years ago who liked bad movies and liked watching them late at night in his con room.
The suit answered and gave me the telepathic equivalent of a shrug.
And anyway, don't change the subject. You've got food in you, but you still need water. And do you have any meds you need to take?
Shit, yeah, antidepressants. They're back in the room.
Well then, you'd better go get them, right?
Yeah, I guess. I rose up from my seat, hitting the power button on the console and wishing the suit had a watch I could look at to see exactly how much time I had lost. My time just disappear like that wasn't something I'd think is uncommon, but made a quarter-thin weight of concern rest on the center of the back of my neck. Certainly into the convention, time was just slipping away from me. I had barely done anything yet. Maybe I was still suspicious of the suit and blaming it for entirely normal things when you really get into playing video games. Yeah, we definitely space out when playing video games. Don't have to focus on providing hella insightful commentary and providing good voices. No,
Spicy fresh
just
takes.
playing video games for relaxation, man. Hell, being honest of it, I felt suspicious about the fact that the suit was trying to help me. Being thoroughly honest about it, I was still suspicious of anything that the suit might do or not do. If the suit told me to drink water, I was suspicious. If the suit forgot to tell me to drink water, I figure I would have been just as suspicious. Maybe suspicion was just going to be the natural order of the day, with a shape-shifting being that took on the appearance of a fursuit and was connecting with me for basically an electrical charge to last another year. Sentences are hard. Maybe the only way the suspicion would end would be when the suit came off. God, hoping that wasn't the case. I wanted to enjoy myself in this wonderful tiger suit, and when I could zone out like that, when I could forget the why and how I had the suit, I did. I mean, I would. I don't know if playing Beyond Oasis really counted as enjoying the suit yet. Why are you checking in on me like this anyway? I asked the suit as I pulled the cards out and traded back to the person in charge of the room to get my comm badge back on me.
1. Why not? 2. I've been doing this long enough to see when people forget to take care of themselves, especially at parties. And 3. If none of those answers are selfish enough to make sense for you, if you're healthy, I'm healthy.
All 3 of those provided relief to hear. Hated to admit it, hearing an answer that was so self-motivated was particularly helpful in getting me to give the suit some benefit of the doubt. Yeah, I don't know what it is about that. Like, it's hard for me to accept altruistic reasons from other people.
Hard to accept altruistic motivations from other people because clearly the one example is entirely self-centered. The one example of internal human psychology, so others must be identical, right?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, it actually affects how I give direction sometimes. Like sometimes I feel like, okay, if one of my employees isn't gonna do what I ask them to do, then I give them a selfish reason for me to want them to do it, and then they do it.
Huh? Weird.
Yeah, is it a known psychological thing? It must be.
Maybe.
But even if it's just like, oh, this has to get done, or the store's gonna burn in a fire, I'm like, hey, do this for me because I don't want to have to deal with your shit afterwards. So far, the deal was just too good for me to be able to fully relax about when I put my mind to it. To only be able to enjoy the suit by not thinking about the deal I'd agreed to, even with all the reassurances, was not an ideal situation. The answer made sense, too. Not gonna be getting a good jump if I feel like shit myself, huh?
Exactly. You take care of yourself, you feel better, and I feel better. I get a better charge, too. With a really strong charge, hell, I can leave sooner than normal.
Like in 2 days? Or even 1 day?
With someone who's in the peak of health and just eating nothing but good shit and staying hydrated, yeah. But I don't wanna.
Why not?
I like these cons, man. I already told you that.
Yeah, sorry.
Don't sweat it. Just go get your damn water and your meds, man.
Right. The elevators were glass. Could see right through them, and people could see me in turn. Tiger fursuit in a neutral stance, arms aside, watching the world below me get ever smaller, people milling about, in suit and out, becoming more indistinct. Put my paw on the glass and felt time slow down around me, in my head. The world moved in slow motion, my body just as slow as the rest of it. Only my conversation with the suit itself moved at a clip that wasn't bogged down in invisible tar. Just realized I have no idea what your name is.
You can call me Six if you want.
Is that some sort of alien name or something? The suit snorted.
No, I just like the way it sounds. All you guys out here make up names for yourself all the time. I can make up a name for myself if I feel like it. And I always like the way Six sounds, so Six is my name.
Right, sorry.
Again, don't sweat it. How you feeling?
Self-conscious.
That'll happen with a guy like me around. Wanting to cut loose?
Yeah, but finding it hard.
Because the suit on you is a living, breathing thing that's talking to you in your brain, instead of just a suit.
75% of that, 25% of not knowing what to do when you've got the thing you wanted.
Like a dog that finally caught a car.
The suit laughed. My eyes looked past my big fake fur paw, past the glass, into someone on the ground floor in the hotel lobby, standing in a circle with 4 other people. They're wearing a big, bulky French pit bull fursuit. Looked adorable. I wonder who the person was inside of the suit, how they felt about their suit, what their suit meant to them, what they felt like it gave them, what they got from it. I looked and I could feel the breath coming out of my throat with the slow roll forward of a tortoise. I wonder if they felt themselves in or if they felt like someone else, and whichever it was, which of those things were things they wanted. The exhale completed its drawn-out steps, taking its sweet time in my slowed perception, and an inhale was following soon after. I thought of myself in the suit. I thought of the times I dreamt of having a suit, and what I wanted a suit for, why I wanted it, what I imagined it feeling like. I didn't feel like someone else in the suit. That made me feel better, even though I still didn't know what I wanted to do with the suit. I know who I felt like inside of it. Expressing that was a matter I had yet to learn, but I had dozens of hours to pick it up if I was willing to try. Time sped back up, unthawing itself from the artificial slowdown, and the French pit bull suitor in the lobby below disappeared from sight. So did everybody else around them. Connection I had felt to them was stretched like a piece of bubble gum, an invisible line that snapped when the elevator gave a familiar and friendly ding when we reached my floor. I stepped out and saw 2 other people waiting for the elevator. Probably to go down to the con themselves. No suit on either of them. Jeans, t-shirt, sneakers was standard. One of them had a jean jacket and really intentionally loud neon hat donned with all sorts of pins featuring different furries and probably intentionally corny furry slogans. I could see them admiring the suit as we squeezed past each other. They waved to me, having no idea who I was, and I waved back. No nervousness, no anxiety, no stress, no worrying about if I was being awkward, just moving past each other, waving, them smiling at me and me smiling on the inside. Whenever the elevator doors closed behind me as I kept moving through the hall, I could feel the dopamine pump from my brain with all the kind of devil-may-care touch to it that I couldn't remember feeling for something so small, and could I remember it at all? Was this just how normal people's brains worked? Even with the meds, having this kind of private but intense delight rush was incredibly rare. It felt so natural that it worried me for a second.
Depression's a motherfucker, isn't it?
The suit asked, not really asking. It really is, I agreed. I was gonna say, like, this feeling right here. The feeling like, hey, is this how normal people feel? Is such a fucking constant in my life. I hate it so much. Ugh. Do we want to do another episode where SK talks about depression for a long time?
I mean, it seems like that's the topic of this...
The topic du jour? Du jour?
DiGiorno?
It's not delivery. Getting out of the room card from the inside the suit, it shifted effortlessly, peeling itself back, the fur rolling back and transferring into something that looked more like a polished and contained slime. Then we grabbed the card and slide it, getting another satisfying noise. Similar yet distinct to the elevator opening and closing. The suit closed itself back up. I walked inside, looked around, saw neither of my friends and roommates there. So I grabbed a bottle of water from my bag, my meds with it, chugging the water and swallowing the pills back with it. Some muzzle shifted this time, stretching out, opening up, giving room for the mouth on the inside, my mouth, and then we swallow with ease. Can't you take care of depression and shit? I asked before swishing more of the water in my mouth to clean it out.
I'm a talking, living, shape-shifting symbiote kind of thing. I'm weird. I'm not magic, man.
Fair enough, I replied, chugged the rest of the water. Damn, right? Pills work differently for everybody. Oh shit, no, I have to talk about my pill. For some people they don't work at all. For some people it makes the shit worse than it already was. I'm lucky, and it feels weird to call myself lucky about this, like calling yourself lucky for not breaking your arm when you get knocked off your bike by a car, that the meds do their job for me, but what job that it is isn't what most people expect. The meds bring the bottom up, really. They don't make me happy. They don't make me excited and eager about the world and suddenly have all the energy and interest I wish I did. They give me more stamina. Give me more stamina by taking out the biggest shit that's been weighing me down since puberty or so. For me, they kicked out the really rough shit, the constant self-loathing for no reason, the auto-piloting thoughts of suicide or other kinds of self-harm for no reason, or made-up reasons, or minor reasons blown into massive ones. You ever suddenly think, oh, I should kill myself because I accidentally bumped into someone at the 7-Eleven? It's the kind of shit that might hit my brain like fresh ground black pepper on an overdone steak. Cook me bubbling up in my guts, stabbing my insides over and over with thoughts of death for just that bump. But you have to roll in the thoughts of I should kill myself. Man, medicating depression. I have a weird relationship with pills. They haven't seemed to be doing much for me, but my psychiatrist insists that no, it has to be pills and therapy at the same time. And I'm like, okay, I'll believe it, but these pills still ain't doing shit. And I've kind of lost track of how many we've tried at this point.
Indeed.
I can't count. Alright, whatever. But yeah, depression meds. Awesome. Now, I'd long since gotten over the thoughts of actually thinking about killing myself, but the impulses were still there, activated when that social stress hit me. I didn't have to actually want to kill myself for the thought I should kill myself to register in my mind. The meds took care of shit like that. They did the heavy lifting. When that anxiety and stress did hit me, it was the instinctive reactions to them that weren't this disastrous zone of self-loathing. I could just apologize and move on like a normal person. I still really shit sometimes for various reasons. Meds don't fix that. And I think that's one of the things that people who don't have depression, don't get depression, have the biggest trouble getting. Remember to take my pills? The world doesn't come around and suddenly I feel like the same shit people without depression feel. That some kind of thick fog is lifted off me and a big old political cartoon sun labeled happiness breaks through to irradiate my body. It doesn't work like that. It'll never work like that for me. It takes away the rough shit, which makes the going a hell of a lot easier and a hell of a lot less miserable. Also makes me much, much less tired. Sometimes the meds make me tired too. It's a different kind of tired than depressed and exhausted tired, so the trade-off is acceptable.
So how are you feeling now?
Asked the suit. It'll take a bit for the meds to really kick in.
Well, how you figure you'll be feeling then, based on previous experiences?
Decent. Feels odd to me, though its actual face stayed in place, resting on top of my own. I think there was a head inside my head, pressing down and coming back up. Or from the outside, placidly rubbing its face against my own to make me feel that nod.
Rub, rub.
Rub, 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 rub.
Rub, rub.
I don't think anyone could see that, but we were vigorously cheek rubbing.
Yep, it's gay now.
It's gay now. Kind of funny to think about, to be honest. Awkward to think about, but funny too.
What's next on the agenda then?
Good question, I answered, reaching up and scratching my neck, Suit's neck, as I waited for the elevator going down. There's nothing big going on for suitors yet, so I could just walk around. Mingle?
Said yourself you aren't the mingling type, even when you want to be.
Hey, I figure I have a suit. I should be getting the enjoyment out of it that everyone else does, right? The elevator came that soothing ding again, and the doors opened up to reveal its empty shell. The glass surroundings let me look out and down once more on all the other furries at the con. Be they checking their phone in the lobby, checking their phone on the rail edges of their room's floor, doing mingling of their own, talking to each other, enjoying each other. It'd be stupid to assume that none of them had the same kind of brain bullshit afflicting them that I did, but when you have that kind of bullshit, doing that kind of assuming is par for the course, even when you've got meds to deal with it. I did not know this was also going to be more about depression. I knew it was going to be heavy stuff.
I mean, it was.
And you know what? Fair. It was on
thing
the. It was
when
on.
we bought it.
It was on the label. I can't get away from Twine games about depression, honey.
That's every Twine game.
That's every. Filled a twang of jealousy towards people I didn't know, itty bitty specks of people that I could only make out these globs of color from this high up in the elevator. Pressed my paw up against the glass once more, looking through it, looking past it, feeling the world shift with my sight when the doors closed and the elevator sunk down. The elevator moved at a decent clip, but I still felt like I was in slow motion. Faster than last time, though. Last time the world felt like the world was moving at slowed down by 8 times speed. This was much faster, even while being slower than reality actually moved. 1.5, 2 times speed. Still plenty of time for me to feel each and every single breath through my chest, throat, and nose in full, to truly absorb everything that I was looking down on. For me to look at the other suitors hanging in circles, group of friends, soon-to-be friends, looking like they were just having the time of my life. I felt the envy hitch in my throat, I felt something else almost immediately melted down. The suit, no, not the suit, but the potential of the suit. The possibilities of the suit, not the suit itself speaking to me, but what the suit could be. What the suit could do for me. It swallowed over my tongue and into my throat like shimmering orange cough syrup, cooling, soothing, relaxing it. The suit, things could be different. With the suit, I could detach myself from all the worries and stresses and could-be's and what-ifs and all the anxieties that hit on me like razor-sharp raindrops over the back of my neck. I could detach from myself to be myself. Didn't make sense, but it made plenty of sense to me. No, I totally get exactly what that feeling is. That feeling of like, okay, the only way I can kind of be myself is if I get away from all of the other bits and bots of myself that make being myself day to day so stressful and difficult and blah, 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 blah. Time disappeared again, but this time I could actually keep track of what I was doing. It wasn't hard because for a while I was the center of attention, and that for a while I wasn't stressing over it. I wasn't anxious, I wasn't nervous, and I didn't feel myself getting exhausted in no time at all. I could hang out with people, not just any people, but total strangers, and I felt fine. I felt good. I posed for photos. That's why the suit I was one that I shared on the inside, pulling up the edges of my lips to my ears. I actually hurt at some point, just smiling that long, and I had to let the muscle of my face relax back down to neutral. Still, I could feel a breezy confidence in me that never stayed long before in the company of strangers. And that time I let people ooh and ah over the suit, complimenting it, feeling at times they were complimenting me. When I held my body out, my Q-minded body, my hands on the top of my other hands curled into peace signs and thumbs ups and waves. Thumbs up, yep, thumbs up and wave. Good internal pluralization.
Mm-hmm.
I felt the kind of soft pleasure that keeps the mind and body at ease. Not the high that came after working up the body into a sweat, but the easy swallow comfort that came with the body sinking into a bed made just for you. All your personal comforts around you just how you liked it. Steam licking off the muscle tension on your back so gently you barely notice. Time disappeared and I found myself outside the hotel's grounds, standing on the sidewalk and staring into the distance. Or would be staring into the distance if not for all the buildings on the other side of the road. When I let myself come to sharp focus again, I could feel the lingering touch of that state of being where everything more than 5 feet away from me might as well not exist because I was too blissed out to notice it. I straightened out my posture and felt the cement beneath my feet and paused. Are you doing that? I asked the suit, partially curious, partially apprehensive.
Doing what?
Zoning me out. I got down to the lobby and then I lost track of time. Felt the same thing in the game room too.
No.
No, I'm sorry, I think you mean...
No, I don't.
Suit replied, blowing a mental raspberry at me.
People zone out and lose track of time when they're having fun all the time, or when they're not having fun, or when they're doing anything, really. That's all on you, man.
Sorry, I said, feeling the bite from his words, rubbing at the back of my neck, paw running over the suit, and still feeling its touch underneath. Just, look, how am I going to know what kind of effects bonding with you would have on me?
Fair, but either way, it wasn't me. All you. You have a good time back in there, at least?
Yeah, actually. I paused and let my hands stretch out, fingers pushing out as far as they'd get. A great time. Kind of feels fucked up to say.
Why?
Well, I was having a great time with strangers. Usually I tense up even around my friends' friends. Social stress, you know.
Yeah, I do. But, hey, asking a favor. Can we do something I want to do?
The words were gentle, pleasant, patient, hit me raw. Like a swift sucker punch just a few inches underneath the ribcage, taking the wind out of me and leaving my thoughts reeling in the aftermath. Just being reminded the suit was its own person and of course had things it wanted to do while letting me wheel around for fun on the con. I certainly felt like an asshole for it. These kinds of things were supposed to be give and take, right? So much as a body bond between human and who knows what would be. I didn't know the standards or Robert's rules of order here, only just general guidance of kindness. Which leads to, if an alien creature is going to let you wear it as a costume for a weekend, even if it's getting a battery charge off you, it's probably nice to consider that sometimes it'll want to do things too. We're already sharing it with each other, but this was something else. I had to approach it from an angle that I would with Kyle and Hoon Woo, like organizing time together with friends. Wonder if I'd call Six a friend, an hour later in the weekend. Sure, I mean, what is it you want to do, so long as it's not too out there? The suit snorted.
I'm going to have to reassure you a lot before the con's over, aren't I? I'm not looking for anything ridiculous, champ.
So what is it then?
I want to go for a walk.
Like this?
Like this.
Nice. Achieved! The sky felt like it bent itself around me, a selfish and self-centered notion, but it was all I could think of when I stared straight up above through the suit's eyes. My shoulders were relaxed, hanging lower, arms at my side, fur rubbing up against fur, breaths were long and deep, and the world held still, and I kept looking up at the sky, and I felt as if it was bending around me. I felt like I could see the curvature of the earth, not looking towards the horizon, but looking straight above. What was strange was that even though I felt the earth was bending around me, I didn't feel particularly important or special for it. Not in a negative way, the kind of way that it might feel without my meds, just that the earth was centering itself around my sight for all this time. If it was bending just for me right now, then it was a kind of gesture on its part, not something that made me fantastically important. I wonder how easy it'd be to hold on to that feeling, being given something without inflating my own importance. It would be as easy if I had a normal suit, one just for me, one that couldn't talk to me, one that couldn't, if it so wanted, tell me to fuck off. All hypotheticals, of course. I doubted I would ever have enough money to buy my own suit. Six mentally groaned in satisfaction.
God, I love the fresh air. I mean, I get it all the time, but I like it even better with a walk to go with it.
How far have we walked? I asked Six, tilting our heads to the left. Six seemed more than a little taken aback at the question.
You zone out a lot or what?
They asked.
I can't give you exact numbers myself, but probably a mile or so. What have you been paying attention to this whole time?
I wasn't paying attention to much of anything.
I don't know if that's worrying or you achieving some kind of meditative state purely on accident. Mostly worrying, I think.
I grunted, our head tilting to the right now. I guess I got so comfortable in the suit I just, zoned out.
Yeah, I really can't decide if that's worrying or just you getting in much needed relaxing.
Well, come on, you wanted to enjoy some time outside? Let's spend some time outside.
No argument here.
Yeah! Get that vitamin D! Six deserved simultaneously low-key and high-key. All they wanted to do was go around walking in public, from parks and to bodegas and shit, which was hardly a big request, but it came with a big one by virtue of the fact that I was wearing them. Doesn't this feel fucking conspicuous or something to you? I asked.
Sure, relatively so, but don't you want to be conspicuous sometimes?
Six replied.
Like you've been dying to have a suit all your own. That shit is obvious, and I'm going to take an educated guess and say that most people who want a fursuit don't want it just to be all private and shy about it.
There's a difference between showing off stuff to other furs and showing off by taking it to the food court in front of a bunch of strangers.
Most people at those cons are strangers too.
Six replied while it picked up a Snickers bar with the padded right paw. Strangers who are furries.
Point taken. Still, I guess you're feeling the distance between fantasy and reality, huh? Figure you're adjusting to it, seeing what you really like, or if you just flat out don't like it at all.
I measured my thoughts on the matter while rolling the candy bar from one hand to another, giving my body and mind something to focus on other than the question by the sensation of that thin plastic and the heft of the candy bar inside going across the smooth fur texture of the suit. I guess that's all true. I wish I was more... My words trailed off as I gripped the candy bar in one hand, squeezing it a few times just to feel its shape. Something comforting about it, kind of like satisfying heft one got from holding one of those heady, sturdy flashlights. Then another squeeze, more definitive and final. Certain about the way I felt. Decisive? Final? Confident?
Whole lot of synonyms there, bud.
A long exhale through my nose, and then theirs. Well, I'm just trying to find the words that feel right in my mouth, that fit the way my brain is thinking about the way my body is feeling.
Whichever word you want to use, results the same. You don't know quite how you feel yet, and how you imagined you were going to feel was a hell of a lot more exciting. The brain gets in the way of the fantasy once you get a taste of the reality, which is no surprise to me.
Because you had the exact same reaction from others before, I said, voice dry.
Exactly.
You know what that feeling reminds me of? Did you ever... So, when I was back in high school, pre-transition, and I would go out... when I would go out as a woman, but before I had like transitioned full time, I would sometimes get that feeling where I'm like, okay, now what? I'm like, yes, I did it, and like, now I'm bored. do you want to play Catan? I don't know. That's what that feeling kind of reminded me of. Yeah, nose. So, how do you feel about all this? I asked, neatly putting the candy bar back into its place, looking down at the rows of other choices to avoid having to scan the people around and see how they felt about me, how they were reacting to me. Fantasy of the spotlight is a hell of a lot different than actually being there.
How do I feel about it?
Six snorted.
I feel like you're making the mistake that I'm on the same journey you are.
How you mean?
I mean what I said.
I know what I said. Six answered. Not me, not mocking, but confident in a way I wasn't. sure of themselves, perhaps a little amused that I was asking the question to begin with.
You wearing my body as another body and having some kind of personal journey with it doesn't mean I'm doing the same thing by bonding to you. I've had plenty of personal journeys already, and I'm sure to have more in the future. But whatever ones I'm going to walk, they're not the same as yours, and it's highly unlikely I'm going to walk those same journeys attached to you like this. This is kind of a party for me. Sometimes a low-key party, but a party all the same.
That's... I blinked. Six didn't blink with me. I could feel it. My words hung in the air, becoming nothing, but Six patiently waited for me to finish them. Find them, reform them, speak them again, then follow through and finish them. It's not what I was expecting.
You're expecting me to feel the same kind of way as you do.
I guess.
Well, despite you wearing me, and me being connected to you, so I can get a nice life charge to last a good long while...
I could feel that Six wanted to roll their shoulders if they had formed them around me, but true to their word wouldn't force me to do so. So I rolled my shoulders, and the suit's shoulders came with me. This was a back and forth I wasn't sure how to handle. Six had an experience of confidence that left me feeling small and fragile, like I was relearning the absolute basics of living, of being myself, and yet Six, the suit, was reliant on me to get what they needed to live in the first place, and so long as they stayed true to not making me do anything for me, they were reliant on me for a hell of a lot of movement in general. In that moment, I wasn't sure how Six had the patience to stay still as they did. The only way I could stay that kind of still was when I was in bed, and even then I'd toss and turn on being unable to stay still for too long. Movement felt necessary to be in the shape of the suit that I wanted for myself, and to hold that position for as long as I requested the space of this convention. That was a patience I never knew myself to have, and I came to respect and understand Six more in that moment. I also wondered if they had talked to me so much as a way to keep themselves busy, and then wondered if I should invest in a fidget cube or something.
You blinked out again, didn't you?
Six asked, not really asking. Sure did.
What'd you last hear?
You were saying so I can get a charge to last a good long while.
Right. So, despite me connecting to you to get a life charge to last a good long while, I'm not in this for the same reasons you are. We're not connected in that kind of way. We're sharing, but we're different. What we need from each other, what we're getting from each other.
They're not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Six replied with the kind of finality in their tone that I couldn't manage earlier. All for just
You're already feeling all sorts of conflicts with yourself and the things you wanted, how you feel about yourself and having a suit, and being the center of attention. Me, though? I'm feeling fine. I'm feeling great. I'm getting plenty of fresh air, and so long as I'm in a shape that's not freaking people out.
Who's to say this isn't freaking people out? I replied, feeling a little smug.
The kind of freaking out that gets people to call the cops. So long as I'm not dealing with that, I don't mind being the center of attention like this. I've done it tons of times before, at the cons or out in public. I'm getting what I like. I'm getting fresh air. I'm getting my body moving. I feel good. You feel uncertain. And you feel doubly uncertain because you almost certainly thought having a suit would automatically make you feel fantastic.
I don't know if I thought that, but I guess I hoped for it.
Well, here's the reality of it. See how you feel about it as time goes on, huh? You can always end up just changing the suit, or having no suit. I can shrink myself down, fit on the small of your back underneath your shirt.
Really?
Yes, really, duh. I already changed myself to be the tiger you wanted, remember? Just don't do it where people can see.
I agreed to that, and then I left the store back into the open air. With all the racks and walls and tight ceilings to get me in, I felt a far greater sense of relief there. Six and I sighed in satisfaction together, sharing that crisp, fresh air.
Really nothing like it, is there?
You really love fresh air, don't you?
Shit, yeah. Why wouldn't you?
I didn't zone out that time. Focus and memory were crisp. Tuned in well enough to think it was odd that I was spending so little of the day actually at the convention and going right along with it anyway. The more I spent actually out like this, the easier it got. An obvious revelation, to be sure, one I had learned doing other shit, some of it years and years ago, but it's the separation of what the mind knows rationally and what it knows from doing. Practice makes perfect, something we get taught on early, but internalizing it, especially for mundane shit like just being out in public, is another matter. Hey, another trans analog.
Nice.
Tranalog. Tranalog. A self-loathing story. You're welcome.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
However, I am not analog. I am digital. Beep boop.
An obvious revelation. I read that one. Six was different, though. They weren't kidding about not being on the same journey as me. They felt absolutely no nervousness being out in public like this, despite having infinitely more reason to. A shape-shifting being, maybe an alien, I didn't have the first clue of what they actually were, and they had a carefree attitude to them that I couldn't hope to match and could barely understand at times, when they shared with me in sparking electrical moments. The kind of carefree of endless giggling, the kind that we usually imagine as something childish and innocent, but Six just didn't worry. They weren't worrying about what people thought or what people were looking their way. It's the thing I imagined I'd feel for myself if I had a suit or fantasized about having. The more they shared it with me, the easier it was to feel for myself. Which probably explained a lot of what I got up to when I got back to the con. Ba-ba-ba-da-da.
Phenomena.
I don't know why that became a phenomena moment. There were hours in between, there's no denying that. I even remember most of them. I spent time with Hyun Woo and Kyle again. Good time. I chatted with them, I joked with them, I connected back with them. I felt an ease on top of ease with them. A confidence that creeped on top of a comfort. They were two separate things, and I don't know if I ever would have identified them as much without the suit, without Six on top of me. It was a separation between the relaxation and comfort I felt with my friends because they were my friends, because they were a familiar part of my life, and the feeling of confidence. I was making more jokes myself. That was one of the tiny differences that felt like I had a colossal size and everything. I was spitting out jokes without a second guess or fucking around with them in my brain until I forgot what they were saying in the first place or it become minutes. I lost the train of the sentence, so I'm just going to trail off until we hit the end of the paragraph. Done.
Sure, good.
Nailed it.
I could fuck up a joke.
Nice. I could fuck up a joke. Like that. And in reality, it would grip around my throat and squeeze for a few minutes, for an hour, perhaps for days in fits and bursts that I couldn't predict. One of those little differences that were massive, you know? There were more pronounced differences when I got away from my friends, too. When I got back to mingling on the floor with the strangers, I was posing for photos. Shit, I was posing! The same rush I'd gotten earlier came back to me, thicker in the spinal cord point connecting to the brain and the water in the throat. I slicked it, made it loose and relaxed. Even when I wasn't saying a goddamn thing, with the suit fully covering my body and my face, leaving me with nothing these people knew about me than that they were getting seen from the massive tiger-shaped fur and fluff and alien body turned slowly, material assembled all in a way that I could never guess its origin. Jeez!
You are allowed to breathe in the middle of sentences.
No! I didn't expect
I'll allow it.
Some of these sentences are kicking me, man. I haven't gotten any horse barn sentences?
Fuck, I forgot what those are called.
Barn sentences? Something like that. I haven't gotten any of those. Yeah, maybe. But I certainly have gotten a lot of sentences where I'm like, oh, that's not the direction I expected this to go. My intonation's all wrong now.
Just roll with it. Just continue the wrong intonation.
Six took a break from getting a lot of... No, I can't do that. From talking for a lot of it. Let me soak up the limelight as I got more comfortable with it. Not questioning me and my feelings as those feelings got more natural, as I felt less need to question my own feelings about my feelings. If there was anything to make me wonder about how I felt about my own comfort, it was with the strangers who got too comfortable with me, I guess. It was there I could taste the remnants of the things I saw from watching other suitors in the crowds that formed around them. And the tendency to embrace them, and for those strangers to embrace them in kind. Neither of them holding each other accountable for anything because of the serotonin and dopamine was just too good to resist. The clout was too good to resist. The rush from getting to look at pictures of a suit posed ass up on a bed was too good to resist. Why ruin a good mood, a good groove, just because someone was a piece of shit or didn't know boundaries or their endless enabling of your bullshit was actually an unhealthy fucking mess?
Good to see you're still keeping aware.
Six piped in as my thoughts traveled down that road, spiking with some intensity, breaking through my own field of confidence, of pleasure of the spotlight without the stage fright that could come with it. Almost forgot you were there for a little, I replied in my mind, while I posed for a photo with another suitor. A polar bear. Not one I recognized, not from Twitter or any of the usual furry sites. Wonder if that actually made me more likely to be alright with the photo op. It didn't have to be the weight of my own expectations or my own knowledge or the suitor below to twist myself inside out over and over.
Why are furry cons just like the Odyssey?
I don't know, Vivian. Why are furry cons just like the Odyssey?
There are so many suitors. You're welcome.
I'm gonna come back in like 20 years and kill all of you.
This is a highbrow channel.
Oh, God.
With highbrow
I don't-
references.
I don't know if any of that got on the microphone because I was standing in the other room. Whatever.
Anyway.
Now I just kind of wish I was no one.
No. Highbrow references.
Eyebrow references! Alright, I'm done. I fucking hated the Odyssey.
What?
I didn't hate the Odyssey. It just wasn't very interesting to me.
Did you read the Iliad?
I did not.
That one's real good.
I feel like I would find the Iliad even less interesting.
They list a lot of boats. And
Exactly.
stuff. Yeah, it's very good.
Alright, your line.
Where the fuck are we?
Right here.
Cool. I'm better at being quiet than you are, but then I have more practice being quiet in public than you do.
What, years and years of school don't count? I shot to them, raising the furred fingers six had formed around me to a peace sign. The polar bear suit are doing the same thing. While the stranger in the olive green hoodie and faded blue jeans snapped away a bunch of quick photos on their beat-up Android phone.
They sure fucking don't.
Six said with a hyena's cackle.
That's another fucking thing entirely than wearing my skin and doing cartwheels, and you fucking know it.
I had done some cartwheels for a 6-second video from a stranger. I didn't even ask for it. Shit just came out spontaneous. I pointed to them, and out it came. When was the last time I'd done that as my regular self? Put my mind into my memories and fog came up on them. Best I could figure was before I was 13, but so much of what came before I was 13 was a massive fog itself. Fucking A, man. Sure, fine, yeah, I said, taking a squat for another photo, and giving my calves some relief. Not sure why you had to remind me of how creepy it is what I'm actually doing, though.
What? Wearing my skin? No less creepy than me bonding to you. You gotta stop looking at this from the perspective that you're the only one here with independent thought.
Shit, that made me feel like a real asshole. You're right, I'm sorry.
Don't sweat it. So, what's the rest of the night's plans then, huh? You gonna turn in and watch TV and take it easy, or are you gonna party?
I've always gone to the dances before. I'm not sure how many times I actually danced, but I always spent at least 15 minutes, half an hour, sometimes even a full hour at the dance. Now I had a suit. I had a tiger on top of myself. I had myself on top of myself. I had six on top of myself. I had myself.
I had
Who would
my
pose
mind
like
on my money, and my money on my mind.
Rolling down the street. No? We're not gonna?
Anyway.
Now I wish I had gin and juice, damn it.
We have gin, we don't have juice.
Damn it. Oh well. My bad, I forgot to get juice when I was out today.
Oh well,
I'm
gin
sorry.
and gin then.
Gin and gin. I had myself who, when posed like that in photos for strangers, when doing cartwheels apropos of not a goddamn thing but my own enjoyment. I had myself, I had the tiger self, I had my tiger self, I had myself the tiger, I had 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 the tiger. Quote,
It's the
I had the
eye
tiger.
of the tiger.
It's the thrill of the fight, rising up to the challenge of our rivals.
Yeah, that's what we're going for here, right?
I had the tiger on top of me, around me, swallowing every inch of me from the bottom to the top of my shafts. Wait, what? What are we talking about? It curved around my mouth inside of it as well, intermingling with the air and spit on it. I could feel it on my tongue, even when it wasn't touching it. It was the invisible electric bond, you know, that I had with Six, the suit, the tiger. I could feel it when it wasn't touching me. It was all over. It wasn't over me. It was inside of me. I had the tiger. I could feel the tiger when it wasn't touching me. I flexed and unrolled my fingers inside the suit. Feel the tiger unrolling with me. Not just Six's body bending for me, but I could feel me. The me on top of myself. The me bonded to myself. The tiger on top of myself and in myself and what was myself. When I unrolled those fingers, I could feel it. Even when it wasn't touching me, I had the tiger. I went to the fucking dance.
Alright. Let's dancing?
Let's dancing. I never really understood dances.
Yeah, me neither.
It's those kind of things that you do when you're in middle school and you're like, why? And then I did them in high school and I'm like, why? And then no one ever made me go to them again and I'm like, yes.
And then you realize that there's an entire sector of the economy about providing places to do precisely that for adults. And it's like, what?
The hell?
Why?
I don't get
I finally got out of the time when I'm socially obligated to attend such an event.
I don't get
And now I'm to spend a lot of money to do it voluntarily?
No, fuck that. I couldn't feel my own sweat. I couldn't feel myself exhausting myself because I wasn't getting exhausted because Six as a suit did the impossible. The things that other suits couldn't. Didn't need any built-in fans to deal with the heat of the suits because Six didn't generate heat like that. Remained perfectly cool, cooler than my body would if I was buck naked and getting heated on the dance floor, on my lonesome or close up to other bodies. And there were other bodies, so many other bodies. Bodies with names I never learned, with faces I never knew, because their faces like my own were underneath a mask. But it didn't feel like a mask. It didn't feel like I was looking at masks or even like I was wearing one myself. When me and the tiger got up against a macaw, a fox, a wolf, a bat. Seeing out into the flashing, swerving lights bouncing off the hotel ballroom floor and onto the synthetics that adorned them, and the organics playing at synthetics on me, the masks I saw and the mask I was wearing, it didn't feel like I was there to hide something. There were people there I'd never know, and yet I feel like I knew them intimately in those moments. That I knew them at their best, that I knew them at the most honest they could possibly be while they were wearing those suits and throwing themselves out on the dance floor. There was something in them that had unlocked and let out when every part of them was covered up. An honesty in masks. Not hiding, not lying, not even disguising. I exhaled and felt the air run across my skin inside the tiger, against Six and against myself, bouncing between us until it reached the soles of my feet. I blinked, and Six the tiger, Six myself, blinked with me. My head spun around with the rest of my body moving on its own, and the circle formed around me on the dance floor, going off without any prompting, just like the effortless cartwheel hours ago. I felt like there was a phantom inside of me, just as I was inside of Six. This phantom unconnected to the flesh and the bone, yet directing its movement all the same. I didn't feel the wear and tear of the body moving around, and just because it didn't, neither did my body. Neither did the tiger, neither did Six, neither did myself, all of us connected as one and separated into as many as we were. I wonder if the people in their own masks felt the same kind of way. They couldn't have, not the exact same kind of way, at least. Their suits had normal human limitations on them. Their suits couldn't bend and shift like mine. The suits didn't ask them to go for a walk in the open air and spend a little time in a convenience store. The suits got clogged up with body heat and sweat. But they had to feel something the way I did, right? The way I saw them put themselves out, the way I saw them express themselves on the suit, push the self out in the center through the suit instead of using the suit to hide themselves, to worry something about the self and achieve all the thoughts of the bond of two bodies. They had to feel the same way I did, right? Or maybe I had to feel the same way they did, right? The music rolled on. I barely paid attention to it, but it was there. It came on as part of a collective feeling, a collective river of sensations that mixed with the lights, the strangers, myself, the tiger, myself, Six, and myself. Moving around with confidence and energy, a fearlessness in there that I'd craved even when I didn't know what I wanted exactly that I wanted exactly what I was feeling now. It came around me just as easy as floating still in a body of water. In a river, in a lake, in the middle of the ocean. My body of bodies was windmilling, and I wasn't feeling their strain at all. I wasn't asking questions then, and neither was the suit, neither were the people around me. Had I ever been like this before? It was hard to find anything like it in the dense, choking fog of my own memories. If I had ever felt this way before, I was almost certain that it was buried in the fog of everything that had come before I turned 13. The good and the bad, though it probably had to be mostly good, right? That was the reason the fog was so thick, after all. Once 13 had rolled around, something in my brain had twisted itself wrong. Its corpse wrapped around itself and choking neuron transmitters inside, so none of it came out the way they were supposed to, or as often as they were supposed to. The fog didn't have any sort of catalyst, at least not one I could pinpoint to a specific event. There was a traumatic incident that had caused the choking fog to roll inside of me, leave me tired and drained and having trouble remembering feeling different beforehand. It just happened. So it was for most people. That was its own kind of frustration, not be able to have something I could blame for the way I felt, for the way my life had gotten fucked up. My energy quietly suffocated, but the truth was sometimes the brain was just a fucking mess and you had to deal with it. That had its own freedoms and reliefs, though, once I could grasp them. Taken a hell of a long time to stop passing down judgment calls on myself for feeling like shit. Feeling shit for feeling like shit, you know? Calling myself shit for feeling like shit, which made me continue to feel like shit, creating a horrible loop of miserable energy that kept the body constantly tired, pinned down to the floor like a fucking DBZ gravity machine cranked up too many damn levels to press the button to reset it. Realizing my brain was just a mess because some people's brains are a goddamn mess was freeing. Didn't fix everything, but it was still freeing. It was like the meds themselves in that way. They didn't fix the whole problem. Couldn't, wouldn't, never would. That wasn't how this shit worked. But they sure as hell made things easier. Made me less tired all the time. Put my brain in more working order on average. There was the mistake that others, myself, would make with antidepressants, maybe because of the name of the things. They didn't make you happy. Antidepressants, when they were doing their job, just dealt with the depression. The fucking irrational misery. The bullshit from the fucked up twisting of those brain gourds. You could feel plenty miserable even when the meds were doing their job, but you wouldn't feel that kind of miserable. Ideally, anyway. I was lucky my meds did their job. Curse you! But the meds didn't crack through that fog and let me feel what I had felt before. I wondered how much of that came before might have been entirely imagined at this point. Put up on a pedestal by me yearning for the self that came before her, for a different kind of self to come around now. With so much distance from these memories, a lot of it was grasping at straws, constructing things out of idle fantasies and suppositions instead of something hard and firm. The kind of rock-solid reality you might get from a video recording of your own past. This was swimming through the mind with no eidetic memory and plenty of brain garbage to make the memories harder to assemble. Doing my best not to be fooled by my own biases and imagination, be it motivated by optimism or cynicism. But on that dance floor, with the tiger on me, with myself as the tiger, I felt like I was breaking through my own fog. It filled me to the brim, but it would leave me desperately hungry. Shouldn't I be exhausted? I said, hanging outside the dance floor by myself. I touched myself looking for sweat, looking to even find the scent or taste of it, of that salty bitterness of the body. I only really thought about it in the context of the fact that it was frankly fucking amazing that I wasn't exhausted, that I wasn't sweating, while inside the tiger suit and going hard on the floor for hours. I think I scared people going on for that long without stopping, without even slowing down. And certainly without puking, which people would have assumed any stew were going for that long.
I'm not sure why you're asking a question when you definitely meant it as a statement,
said Six. I should be exhausted, I rephrased.
Yeah, well, benefits of being connected to me for a while. So long as you get your water and food anyway. I can't replace that for you. I draw energy from you, and I optimize you, I guess you could say. I do a lot of things. I'm not even sure of everything I can do because I'm not in a rush to get dissected.
Understandable, I said, hands on my hips, clicking my tongue. Thought of my ears wiggling, and the suit's ears wiggled with me.
Adorable.
I know. That certainly delighted me. I felt giggly. I really want some of those cat ears that do the wiggling with your head stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what I would do with them, but I want them.
Wear them at work.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that'll definitely get... SK, an unhappy customer needs to talk to you. Don't worry. I'll be there.
You can be
Comes down. Wearing just my business attire and the moving cat ears. Hello. How can I help you with your problems today? Twitch, 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 twitch.
How can I help you with your problems today, Nyan?
Or I could go find whatever job Ferris has.
No, I'm thinking you be the bunny ears lawyer, but you're the kitty ears manager. It's fine.
Yes, I can definitely help you out with that problem, and I'm so sorry for the inconvenience. Nyan. Nyan. Also, I don't know why I was thinking about... Oh, I know I was thinking about Ferris Tan just then, but completely incidentally, Ferris Tan's day off.
What?
Instead of Ferris Bueller.
Nice. Okay, actually, that's very good.
I want that now. And that certainly delighted me. Yeah, it did. It delighted me so much I went off on a tangent. I felt giggly even. I remembered that the suit had a tail and I wiggled that too just for a moment. Just for myself. Giggled to myself in the suit, full on delighted by something so simple. Made me feel like I was on some old safe for work TF fetish webcomic from the early aughts where a freshly transformed body tries out their new shape for the first time and delights in it. A far cry from the usual howls of disbelief and horror that would come with some old werewolf stories and shit. The bond between me and the suit went back and forth all day with my moods about it, playing into my fantasies or my anxieties, but right now, it was playing into instinctive joy. The kind you got from laughing at the way you watched a kitten play around on their own. Nothing actually funny was going on, but you were laughing anyway.
Speaking of, you've hit about the limits of how much you're going to get out of that optimization. You should drink yourself a hell of a lot of water before going to bed, or whatever it is you feel like doing.
What would I do other than go to bed?
Go to Burger King, go to a room party, go for a walk. You have lots of options.
I'm not used to having options. Six laughed, that same laugh teasing me, the laugh that came from them having experience in doing all these things that I was coming around full strut to for the first time.
No, you're not used to seeing options you've always had as options. You've always had the option of doing dumb random shit late at night. You just didn't want to. Didn't feel comfortable enough to.
I looked down at myself through the shared eyes with the tiger. My tiger. Me, looking down at my chest for my stomach for and the big old paws down below on the hotel floor. I touched myself, exploring my body to a degree that was damn near bordering on erotic, and I had to stop as I realized that it would have been too much of a scene to feel myself up like that, being on the confines of the dance floor.
When I think about you, I touch myself. Continue.
I can't now. What a fucking miracle that was, not to stress over it, whatever it might be. Is it normal to go back and forth about how it feels to be... I gestured all over myself to Six, who watched as their body was moved around for my sake to communicate to them in the first place. I think that was funny to Six. Not teasing funny, genuinely funny, I think. If it wasn't me doing it, it would have been funny to me too.
I mean, what's normal in these circumstances? If you're asking for an average, that's something else again. But it feels like what would be normal for you, given what I've learned about you in the span of less than 24 hours. You got a mix of desperation and hesitation in you, all coming out as someone who doesn't know what they really want until they've gotten some time actually having it.
Is that fucked up?
Compared to what?
Good question. I like having a suit, though, I said, ambling my way to the hotel elevators, still not sure what I'd end up doing with the rest of the night.
How's it feel compared to the fantasy of having a suit?
Six asked while her paw pressed up against the big up button. Not what I expected. Better. Then Six's voice was the one that felt hesitant, that they had things to consider of their own in this bond instead of just coming along for the ride, with a breeziness to all of it that made my nervousness and mixed conflicting charging emotions. And zoning out especially feels so amateurish. To have them who were so cocksure about everything take this time to pick their words, I'm not sure how it made me felt. There was a thought in my head then, one unrelated to everything in that moment, in that conversation between me and Six, but it was a thought so heavy and strong that I couldn't ignore it. I wanted a shower, just to feel the water run through my hair. Six found their words.
Well, so long as the kind of better you feel isn't the one that gets you overly dependent.
I wanted to ask them what they meant by that. I didn't. I don't know why. I waited for the elevator silently and stepped into that glass cylinder with another suitor and a bunch of other strangers after that comforting ding went off. I went back up to the hotel room. I drank a bunch of water, which made Six happy. Me too, come to think of it. I want to take a shower now, I said to Six, the fursuit head disconnected once more, sitting on the bed, bunched up. Shets. Mm-hmm. Gotta get those shets. Mm-hmm. Holding the water bottle in my paw and staring out through the full-size windows of the room and into the city, illuminated in the same way it was always at every con before it. Looked the same, but was the same, but it felt different. It felt like a place I could be in, a place I could go to, do things in, a place that could exist with me in it, instead of a steel diorama I stared at from a distance, solely in the space of this yearly convention. I looked at it now, wearing all but the head of the suit, and felt my arm could fall through the glass and my body could fall through the sky, tumbling forward on nothing but air until landing in the middle of the city, and immediately having a panic attack. Well, go have a shower. Oh, that's you. I'm sorry.
Go have a shower then.
Six casually replied. The suit. They sloughed off my body then, the fur transforming to something slicker like oil with intentional shapes and direction to it, peeling off my skin all the way to the floor, coming back up on itself, crawling onto the bed and absorbed the suit's head like an awfully passive wormhole in space. And then there was just a shiny black blob on the bed, which formed a tiny globby arm to wave at me and keep my attention. Just do me a favor and turn on the TV. Put on the Cooking Network or something.
You're not worried about my friends finding you?
I asked, feeling a weightlessness now that didn't actually exist and put me more on edge because of it. Really needed a shower then.
Did you not just see me fall off your whole body like so much water and change shape and color and everything entirely?
Said Six, now speaking to me out loud instead of the electric channel through the skin to skin, mind to mind bond. Then they rolled over the bed, over the headset, and onto the wall, pressed themselves into the thin mesh, changed their color, and matched the wallpaper.
It's not a problem.
I ran my tongue over my teeth and blinked, feeling only one body then, the tiger, the suit, Six separate from myself. I took a shower and felt the hot water run through my hair, making it feel heavy and thick with the weight of the day behind it. There was a loneliness there in the shower that I wasn't expecting when I got into it, but I already felt it crawling up on me as I did the short walk away from Six and truly let the separation of our bodies, the tiger and myself, come on top of me. Just as I felt I'd gotten a grasp on how I felt to actually get to wear a fursuit of my persona, and even had gotten a grasp around the fact that the suit talked to me, to be separated completely created a whole new swarm of feelings, cascading on me in the same way the water itself did. It felt the lids of my eyes feel weighed down just as much as my hair. the water having more push on me than actually existed, stronger than it actually was. The water made a curtain around me that cut off the rest of the hotel and the rest of the world in its entirety, applying a pressure to my spine that never got any weaker. It made me grunt, then groan, finally feeling a tiredness and exhaustion that had avoided all day catching up to me. It pushed me to my knees until I went weak and came to sit down, hunched forward, staring at the water spiraling down the hotel's shower drain. At times my eyes felt so tired, so heavy, I thought they might just fall out of my skull. Painlessly so, but still connected enough that I could feel them tumble against the skin and bone, for circling around the drain as well, too big to go with the rest of the water, only hanging there till I got the willpower to put them back in. That's how it felt, at least. I hunched forward more and more, my bending eventually crossing the threshold from hunching to flexibility exercise, my neck going further and further down than they had in years, looking at nothing in particular, just getting a sight of my full of my body and the water dribbling off of it. This wasn't what I had felt when I had the suit on me. This wasn't what I felt when I was walking around as the tiger, when I was throwing myself on the dance floor, when I was throwing myself into crowds, and I wasn't getting tired. I wasn't sweating. I wasn't hunched over in the shower by myself, the weight of everything I'd done all day coming on me as it would have if I dared to try to attack the day as if I had, without six wrapped around me, making everything feel so much easier. I wasn't feeling isolated and come off of the world, from myself. The self piled on top of the selves, expressing a better self. Yeah, that had to be it. I needed the suit back on me. I needed to be a different self. I breathed out, licked around my lips, turned the shower off, dried myself off, and walked right into the hotel room where Six was still watching Chopped while blending into the wall. Let's find a party, I told them, standing in the artificial light, wearing nothing at all. The full-size window putting my body on display to any stranger who might be bothering to look this way. I could feel Six looking at me, sizing me up, even though they had no eyes I could see at the moment. I could barely see their blob-like body even shift, but what I did see was enough to catch my attention. Mixed with the pause and their reaction to me, I knew they were looking at me with the same kind of uncertainty I had when looking at them at the start of the day, when Six offered this mutually beneficial bond.
All right,
Six finally said. They had hesitation in their voice. Thick with it, obvious with it, but I'd only noticed it till much later. Time disappeared again. When I found myself paying attention to myself, it was in a densely packed room party, noise from music and TV and people blending together incoherently. Not that it mattered, because I wasn't there to listen, not to the noise there, or for that matter myself. I was there to disappear again. Different kind of disappearing act, one done on purpose, to forget that I myself existed in the first place. Getting the suit into myself to detach from myself, a different kind of detachment than the one I felt when I had gotten into the shower. This was a kind of detachment I could get behind, where, once I got into the suit proper, I stopped existing. Any part of the self I disliked, I got uncomfortable around, the fear and anxiety and nervousness I hadn't yet been able to crawl my way out of. That all stopped existing, and me with it. There's nobody in the suit then, it felt like. It was just the tiger. And the people admired the tiger, hollering and smiling and taking photos and crowding around me, and I didn't get tense about it because I didn't exist. It was just a hollow air that moved the arms around, that shifted the head, that posed the body for photo after photo with a bunch of people I didn't know and would never know. And God, it felt so good. It felt so right. I think it did anyway. It was what I thought that I was feeling. It was giving me something like I thought I wanted when I was in that shower, and all the pent-up weight of the day and my own actions finally collapsed on me. I was someone else for a while. Someone else that they would never know, and that I barely knew, and that felt like a freedom of a kind. Maybe it didn't feel good so much as numbing, but it's something of its own, isn't it?
Hey.
Six interrupted with a harsh, blunt voice, forcing me back to awareness of myself, putting a body back into the suit, my body, that I wasn't prepared to handle. It churned my stomach around and made my head ring like a bell. What? I replied, not really wanting to. Part of me was already trying to lean back to myself in the suit and disappear into it, like I could atomize myself and cling to the padding, seeping into it like a mass of germs.
We're leaving.
Six continued, stern, asserting control over the suit, over themselves, really, again by forcing the right leg to turn and start moving towards the door. That shot panic through me, a knife cutting through any laziness and apathy inside of me, burning through any wall of alcohol I might have had inside of me, too, sobering up with the sheer fear of being torn away from the comforting shell I was in. You said you wouldn't make me do anything I didn't want to.
Yeah, well, I'm taking choice of my executive veto. You're making me do something I don't wanna, So as soon as we're out of here, I'm coming off.
You can't. You need me. I sputtered as the left leg turned kind to, the rest of the suit falling with it, marching towards the door at the back and carrying me there with it.
No, I don't need you. I need a 72-hour charge or so from somebody, and I can always ask somebody else to give the rest to me.
Six spats, moving their arms, the tiger's arms with each step through the crowd in the claustrophobic hotel room, pushing to the side and finally firmly putting their paw around the door handle, turning it with venom in the flick of their wrist.
Somebody who isn't getting dangerously attached to me, to using me. Somebody who isn't about to start treating me as some kind of cure-all to their shit.
Door swung open and Six marched into the hallway. I had nothing to say. Nothing I could make myself say yet, anyway. All there was were my eyes wide open, struggling to see through the tiger's gaze, while air hitched in my throat, getting stuck around my vocal cords from the panic that was a rocking, vicious drumbeat through me, leaving my ribs feeling like they were turning against themselves and about to rip my chest apart. I just wanted to disappear into the suit. Why wouldn't Six let me disappear into the suit? Stop, I demanded. Six kept walking down the hall. Go back to the party. Go back to the fuck now. You do it. You need to fucking... You can't just... Six kept walking down the hall. Who are you to fucking tell me that I'm getting... I don't fucking whatever. Who are you to fucking tell me what I'm supposed to be doing? Who am I supposed to be? Six stopped.
Who the fuck are you to tell me that I have to let you control my body no matter what?
They asked me. I had no answer save for my frantic breathing. Six went back to walking down the hall, heading towards the elevator. Stop. I wasn't demanding then. I was begging now. I could feel that thickness, that knot in my throat getting bigger, more painful as tears started to well up in my eyes, making my head feel painfully rainwater. Go back. I was somebody else. I wanted somebody else. You need to go back. I was having so much trouble getting the words out, choking on them as I was, tears pouring down my face, feeling like the inside of my head had no more room to hold them, and so it forced them out. I felt the heaviness on me again, same as in the shower, the water that was beating down on me having poured through my skin and into my skull and then forced out through my eyes and snot down my nose from my endless sniffling. Six exhaled, but tensed up immediately after. The suit stuck closer to my body, and I could feel myself in it, against it, my skin brushing against it. Not against myself, the way I felt earlier, but against Six, against someone else. Someone who had loaned me their body for the day, and I was pleading like a baby for let me borrow that body again for a while longer, for forever, for anything, anytime at all. I sniffled again, waiting for Six to say something. The feeling inside of me that felt an awful lot like when I was a kid, and I knew I was in trouble, and someone was going to say something like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Six didn't say that. They said,
You need some fresh air.
And they brought me down to the hotel lobby, and then marched me outside of it.
You're having a meltdown,
Six said to me, their voice stern while their body shifted, peeling itself off me again and turning back into a speaking massive black boop. Of course I'm having a fucking meltdown, I spat, louder than I expected myself to be, but the separation of talking through my brain and talking through my mouth left my volume control unhinged. You fucking took me away from... Six cut me off, their voice hitting me like a rock in the gut, like a rock shot out of a cannon.
From you rapidly using me for your escapist bullshit, and just as rapidly towards treating it as something fucking permanent. I'm not your fucking pain sponge, and I refuse to be your fucking pain sponge, and I fucking refuse to be a part of you treading into some this is the only way I can be happy bullshit. You having a meltdown is something you can walk your way back from in no time, but you treating me as some fucking permanent fix to all of your problems is a hell of a lot more to deal with.
I couldn't say anything. At least not anything coherent between the sobbing and sniffling and falling to my butt on the cold hard cement. My back against the wall of the parking lot building, two of us tucked away in a shitty alley where all the noise was less likely to attract somebody looking. Myself, I wasn't thinking that far ahead or thinking of much at all. Fears were just pulsing through me, feeling raw in a way they hadn't for years. Like wearing the suit had sucked out gallons of toxins from my body, and being exposed to the open air made me capable of actually feeling them now. Six stared at me, soon enough reshaping themselves back into a more coherent body, like the one they showed me when they first made their offer to me. At least they now had eyes for me to look at when we talked. Not that I would look into their eyes because I didn't want to feel their scorn and anger. Choking on my own oxygen, coughing out for what felt like an eternity, I finally managed to speak again. Why don't you just let me go back?
Because A, I'm not your fucking toy to use however you want, and B, I've seen this before. I've felt this before. I know where this is going, and for both our sakes I refuse to be a part of it.
Well, if you're so fucking smart, I hollered, sounding like someone arguing with their boyfriend outside of a restaurant of a bullheaded pride more than any real issue. If you're so fucking smart, where is this going?
This is going toward you treating me, treating the suit, as the only possible way you can feel happy. That the only way you can be happy is others sucking up to you, heaping praise on you, all because of a fucking costume. A costume you wouldn't even feel like yourself in. You just use it for goddamn fucking sycophant magnetism. I refuse to help you do that, for my sake and your own. And I'm really not going to hear any bullshit that that's a bad thing.
I choked on my air again, sniffled again, and teared up again. Then lacking anything to say to Six, I just bawled. Six, for their part, did roll their eyes at me.
Did not.
Did not roll their eyes at me. My bad. Some blue text. They did not scold me or tell me to get over it or tell me to suck it up. They crouched down and watched me and waited for me to finish crying. Time passed again, much less than all the ones before, just a minute or two, but 2 minutes of silence from Six and endless sobbing from me could feel like a whole year compacted and dropped into one moment in the middle of a night like a bomb. When all that was left of my sobbing was some hiccups and snot just above my lips, Six spoke up again.
Feeling better?
No, I choked. Yes, kind of. Run out of the energy to cry anymore, at least.
Well, sometimes you just gotta feel like shit for a bit. Only way to purge it out of you isn't holding it in, but putting it out on full blast.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Comfort. Six shrugged.
You still feel better than you did when we left the party, right?
I nodded.
That's something. Nobody says you have to be happy, least of all me. But feeling better is something good. How you get there? Well, ask me, melting down was the healthiest fucking choice of the available options.
I was just having fun, I said, still not grasping totally what Six was furious about.
Not all fun is harmless, man, and not all fucking harm is obvious. But I've been in enough people's suits to see the signs. And they were real fucking clear, especially from a guy who's already depressed in the first place. You backsliding into some shit because you got a fursuit for a weekend would have been the worst possible outcome, and also, I never would have forgiven myself for it.
I blinked and hiccuped again. Six being mad at themselves for what could happen cut through any emotional guard or rationalization I could have had at the ready. We stared at each other, breathing, not in sync as I kept being interrupted by my hiccups. What a thing to feel the self fall apart, all emotional, all mental guardrails come undone. To have desperation pump through me like a hyper-corrosive gasoline that rotted a car from the inside out. And for all those heavy things, I couldn't stop hiccuping. I wondered if with enough time I would find it funny.
Does your fursona feel like someone else?
Six asked. What? I'd heard them, but I couldn't quite process what they had said yet. My brain was a few seconds behind the whole conversation, even while my ears and mouth were working perfectly fine.
I said, does your fursona feel like someone else?
They hunched forward, but with an energy in their posture so much stronger than the dead tired hunch I had back in the shower.
Does your fursona feel like it's you? Or does it feel like it's someone else? Does it feel like it belongs to someone else? That it's for someone else? That it is someone else?
I thought of them. My tiger, the one in my head in the art that had been drawn of them, not just the suit that Six wrapped themselves into for me to wear. No, it doesn't.
So your fursona feels like it's you. It's for you.
I nodded, blinking, panting. Uh-huh.
Did you feel like yourself in those past few hours?
What? I'd heard Six just fine this time, processed the words perfectly. I just wouldn't understand what they were actually asking.
When you were in the suit, when you were wearing me as your tiger, did you feel like yourself, or were you trying to feel like someone else?
I swallowed air. Someone else, I answered. Six leaned forward more. There was barely any inches between us now. And, I added, then interrupted myself with 3 burnt-out coughs. I felt like it wasn't there at all.
Is that what you wanted?
Yes, I said, answering truthfully. No. I contradicted myself also truthfully. Six rocked back onto their heels, squatting casually.
What do you want?
Six asked.
What do you want? What do you want to feel like when it comes to having a fursona? What do you really want to feel if you really had a suit of your own? A regular one. One that's not, well, me.
I want... I started and stopped. I thought back to when I first made my own persona. When I started thinking about the tiger I made for myself, the years I spent getting attached to them, changing them here and there, and the way that persona was, and how so many others knew me. I want to feel like myself, I said. But more so. Six didn't question that. They leaned to one side of themselves and then back.
I get what you mean. And you weren't getting that at that party, wearing me. You know what I mean?
Now that I'd cried all of the tears that were stored in a massive tank inside of my body, I did. Yeah, I nodded and hiccuped again.
There's a difference between being yourself and, hell, between even changing yourself and just being some other shit that other people like, that you disappear into, because it's giving you some razor-thin high, short but powerful enough to make you act like the shit you're dealing with isn't there.
I leaned back more against the wall, letting my legs stretch out before me. I looked down at them, passive and worn out. Six reached forward, gently running their hand through my hair, their liquid latex skin flowing through the twists there with just enough pressure to bring my chin back up, my eyes to meet theirs again.
You can want to disappear, to become some other thing in the moment, but what you really want is to be the best version of yourself, right?
That put oxygen back into my lungs. Yeah. Six nodded back at me. The mood, the furious anger from both of us had been diffused. A ticking bomb put out by, funnily enough, me finally exploding.
You don't want your tiger to be a disguise,
Six said, their hand now coming down over my cheek, holding there for a moment to make sure my gaze was held as well, then pulling back into themselves.
A mask, a costume, doesn't have to be a disguise, you know?
I gave a nod, inviting him to finish the thought he had.
It can be a way to find yourself,
Six said, cutting through the night air. I hiccuped and laughed and smiled, with the dried tears on my cheeks holding still. Six smiled and laughed too, though softer than mine.
Corny as shit, huh?
Six asked. Corny as shit, I confirmed, but I'm not saying you're wrong. Six arms slithered out, reaching out and grabbing my back, lifting me up like I'd just tripped instead of losing a whole other kind of control of myself.
Come on,
They said, no anger or resentment in their tone.
let's get you back to the hotel room so you can rest up.
So you're not going to leave me?
Oh, I'm sure as hell not going to let you wear me for the rest of the con. I'm not going to chance enabling your worst urges, especially while you're still raw as shit like this. But, you know, I want to make sure you're okay. And that means getting you back to the room, so you can go to fucking bed and get some sleep.
You know, I said, getting on my feet, almost falling down along the way. That's not exactly the shit I expected from someone who needs to suck out energy from people to stay alive in the first place.
I have to bond to live, man. That doesn't mean I have to be an inconsiderate, selfish asshole.
The Six said, slipping back onto me, pressing themselves into the small of my back, connecting to me so they could hide from sight, so not leaving me alone, and also not letting me just go back to the suit. Time passed again. I felt every second of it as my legs tiredly guided both of us back to the hotel lobby, back up in that glass elevator that I could see the rest of the world through, back to my room where Kyle and Hyunwoo were already passed out. Kyle preferred to sleep on the floor, so there he was, leaving a bed for me. He elbowed forward and flopped onto it. Six slinked off of me, remade themselves a body, and pulled the blankets over me.
Sleep well, bud,
They said, and then turned off the lights and became a living, inky blob again, hiding themselves where my friends couldn't see them. I slept, and I did not dream. True to their word, Six did not let me wear them for the rest of the con, and true to their word, they checked up on me too. Made sure I was getting my water and still getting my antidepressants. When I got into a private space, they even took the time to more thoroughly check on me, asking how I was feeling, how I felt about the day, the party, and shit. Even what I wanted to do with my time after the con was done. What I wanted to do when I got back home. Talk to me about my persona and what they meant to me. I didn't have the most important, exciting answers, not personal revelation stuff. Not new revelations, anyway, but Six talked to me about it just the same way all my other friends did. And they'd send me back on my way to the con to hang with my friends, to go to panels or the game room, or all the usual shit at a con. On the final day, we hung out outside the hotel again. So am I never going to see you again? I asked.
don't be so fucking dramatic.
Six laughed.
If I see you, I'll make time to say hi. Just 'cause you can't look me up online on Fur Affinity or shit doesn't mean I stop existing. But I got my own life. So do you. Blah blah blah. If you're looking for big dramatic answers to big dramatic questions, well, shit, we already had that night.
I laughed in turn. Yeah, we did.
Just, you know, you ever do get a suit, keep in mind what I said, right?
A mask doesn't have to be disguised, I replied, nodding my head.
Or however you want to phrase it. Same thing. And avoid sycophants.
I nodded again. Avoid sycophants. We talked some more about nothing in particular, then shook hands and they disappeared to go, well, wherever or whatever. Probably to find someone else to bond to and get that missing energy they give up for a lot of the con after coming apart from me. Spent the rest of the time there saying my goodbyes with my friends, squeezing out whatever minutes or pleasant memories I could get from the con before having to go back home and return to the usual grind. Spent the time traveling back thinking of myself, thinking of the tiger, my tiger.
Time travel.
That's not what...
It's about time travel.
That's not what that means. It's not...
We're time traveling back. Hacking to the gate.
Alright, we're done. I wanted to be myself, but more so. Getting there was a process I had not finished, could not possibly finish in one long weekend, even with a shape-shifting suit to figure into it. But when I thought of my tiger now, I knew that what I felt with them, what I wanted from them, was how I was them and how I could be myself at the most self I could be. I still would have to drink plenty of water and take my meds and muddle through the regular shit, but I thought about what I'd be like to be able to afford my own suit, how I'd feel inside of it, what it'd mean to me. And it meant something far more honest now, even in the realm of fantasies. I had to melt down to make the invisible weight off of me, the heavy water I felt in the shower, the creeping hand that pressed on my back whenever the thought crossed my mind, just to disappear and become a hollow function inside of a body that everyone else liked for their own projected reasons. Mask wasn't always a disguise. My tiger wasn't a disguise. I wanted to be myself, but more so. I wasn't at the point I wanted yet, but I'd get there. Epilogue!
Nice.
It took longer than I expected for me to run into 6 again. 3 whole years. I hoped really, see them again at the same con next year, but figured I must have bounced around the country, checking out other cons, meeting other people. Felt twinges of jealousy here and there, but maybe they weren't really jealousy at all, and I was just giving my emotions less credit than they deserved. I thought of 6 as a friend, and well, it simply fucking sucks when you can't talk to a friend for a very long time. Especially when they leave such a massive impact on you. On the other hand, all the time in between what gave me, well, the time necessary to work all that shit out with myself. Get a better hold on myself, to know what I really wanted from my persona and what I wanted from a suit, if I ever got another chance to have one. Having enough money to finally buy my own, or most likely by winning the lottery or some other ridiculous shit. Or by running into 6 again. Unsurprisingly, I didn't suddenly get rich and buy my own suit in the time between waiting 6 off and seeing them again. 3 whole years and I still didn't make much more money than I used to, and saving as I did manage to sock away had been put towards much practical things. Capitalism's a motherfucker like that. I also love the anti-capitalist undertones that come into literally every Twine game we've played.
Yep.
It doesn't stop. I don't get it.
That's Twine games. Gay, sad, communist.
Did run into 6 again, though. 3 years later at the same con, coming in feeling exactly the way I wanted to. Like myself, but more so. The best self I had found so far and working ever more to make sure I was being the best self I really wanted. I checked in on the spot where I met 6 every year at the same time the day I met them, and on the 3rd year it finally paid off.
Hey.
Nudge, nudge, said a familiar voice from the shadows. Upbeat and pleasant, and it made a pleasant vibe roll through me as well, sharing a good mood from them to me.
You look like you're doing pretty damn good, dude.
Feeling pretty damn good, 6, I said, tilting my head, trying to find them in the darkness they spoke to me from. Why don't you come up for real, huh? Don't be rude, I teased. I could hear them blowing a raspberry, but they stepped out all the same, and this time, instead of the lizard suit that looked like a puppet with their strings cut off, looked exactly what I most remembered them for. 6 was in the shape of my tiger, my persona, and that perfect fursuit body.
Your persona didn't change any since last time, did it?
6 asked, sincere.
It would really blow the moment if you decided to be a goat or something instead, and I walked out feeling like it'd be a movie scene, but I'd have to walk back and change and then walk back out, and both of us gotta pretend it never happens.
I laughed, though sincerity was still in their voice.
I mean, I'll be a goat. I can be whatever, but I want to nail this moment the way it should be.
I grinned from ear to ear, walking up closer. Still a tiger, bud, still the same tiger, just one I feel closer to than ever before. 6, the tiger, the suit. 6 as my tiger, my suit, smiled right back to me. It was me and it was someone else. And there were all these things at once, and I could feel that out better now. Clearer. Knowing my place among them and blended into them.
In the right space to take another spin at it?
I nodded. I mean, only if you're offering. This here's a shared joint after all, give and take shit.
I'm offering.
6 tilted their head to the right and the left, and clapped one hand firmly with a friendly power on my shoulder.
You look like somebody who really knows what they want now.
Well then, I exhaled and tilted my eyes up, looking into theirs, looking into mine. Spread my arms out, let my mouth go open just so, and simply waited. Six's grin remained, and then their body changed again, only briefly. Firm fur and padding became more like a heavy goo, and it pressed against my face, my chest, all my front, bonding into it, giving that same electrical buzz of connection. Then continued to flow over me, a pleasant ooze that covered every inch, maintaining its odd but delightful mix of warmth and chill, relaxing my muscles, but making me feel wide awake at the same time, like slamming an espresso in the middle of a steam room, or getting a massage in the middle of a field where it's having a light rain. Weird shit. Good shit. Wrapped around my back, completing the shell, the shared body, stitching its final points all over my spine and zipping up to the back of my head. There wasn't an inch between us that wasn't shared now. And with the bonding process finished, I pulled my arms. My arms inside the suit, the arms outside the suit, myself the tiger, myself as the tiger, and Six, all of us together, all of our arms, all our shared arms and hands into our shared body. Hugging Six and hugging myself, Six hugging me and hugging themselves, and my tiger as our shared body. This time in the right space for it, where I knew exactly what I wanted from it now, what I wanted for myself, and couldn't be tempted by wanting cheap validation from people whose names I'd never learned and would never care to learn, who liked me for all the wrong reasons. This was everything right, this time, with no uncertainty. We exhaled together in our shared bodies. Thank you, I said to Six.
Hey, it's a give and take, like you said, man.
I could feel them grinning just from the way it felt inside my head.
I gotta thank you, too. I still need the charge to live. It's a give and take, all about finding the healthy way to do it.
I laughed. I couldn't help myself, and I hugged them again, squeezing my arms against myself. And they, of course, were hugging me, also by squeezing themselves.
So what do you want to do first?
Six asked. Would it be bad if I said I wanted to go to the game room again? Six laughed.
Just make sure you got your meds and your water, too.
I do.
Well then, go to the fucking game room.
Six bonded with me for the whole con that time. I felt a perfect mix of warmth and cold all over my body, and that ooze, that fur, that padding that made up the tiger that was my tiger the entire way. That mask was not my disguise. It was being myself, but more so.
Hell yeah.
It was so sweet.
That was a good game. That was good a story. That was a good everything.
I loved that so much. Sorry, part of me is just going like squee right now.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. High five me. Thank you all for reading this with us. This was a lot of fun.
It was.
I really enjoyed this one. Oh. Spacetwinks, keep doing awesome stuff. They have a demo for another game in the pipeline right now. Armadillo Boyfriend.
Oh yeah, Big Armadillo Boyfriend.
Big Armadillo Boyfriend.
We haven't played that one yet.
Well, no, because I've looked through it and it looks really good, but I want to wait till the whole game comes out and we'll play that on the channel.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Me too. Keep doing awesome stuff, man. And thank you all for listening to us. You have a good day, all right?